Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, however you happen to be watching this. Thank you for tuning into the Gaming Circle podcast, the podcast where each week we try to, make sense of what's going on in the gaming news. And this week is a little interesting because it seems we had to pull an audible at the last minute. Mr. Everborn Saga had to step away. Unfortunately, the man is coming down with children's sickness. I'll call it. One of his little ones gave him something that is causing his voice to not necessarily function the best. He might join us somewhere mid-show, but we hope he feels better. But I think I traded up personally because I'm being joined this week. See, I have to drop a little bit of slander in there because that's the show we do. By Xbox Era's own, the senior editor, OneBad Mutha. How you doing today, sir?
I am great, KSAT. Thanks for having me today, man.
Oh, it's great to have you here. We're Gamescom. We finally have some news, and we're really specific on some Halo talk. Which that's why we were excited to have you here at first, and now the man can't be here for our conversation. Hopefully he'll jump in. But yes, I'm excited to talk to you about all the things you saw, all the things because you have a different perch than we tend to in the gaming street. So maybe you saw some gems that we might not have caught initially, things like that. So I'm excited to pick your brain, but. Let's at least from jump. Let's get started with what we've been playing. What this week has been catching your eye. I know you said you were away for a bit, so you didn't get to play too much. But what games have been keeping you busy?
Yeah, I did go out of town, and actually, in before Psychonauts release, I was all in on the 12 minutes. I did hit my wall, so I haven't got to the controversial ending yet. But that's an interesting game. That's like one of those games where I'm playing it, and it's like at times I'm like, am I having fun? But then I put it down and I think about it. It's like I got to go back and try something else. So it is a really interesting experience. I do recommend people at least downloading, give it a shot. I've heard completely mixed things on it. I think for some people it seems to be engrossing, and others, it doesn't click at all. It definitely is. It's different, and that's something I do appreciate. Trying these things that it's like, would I have spent money? I don't know, but once you try it out, it's like I definitely want to see where that game goes. Before that, I played the heck out of Hades, which is
I'm still in the middle of that. I love it. It's just too addicting. Sometimes you got to put it down. It's just too much.
I've already beat 12 runs, and it's like one of those games you can just keep going and going and going. And I think at this point, I need to settle that down. And I did start Psychonauts. I got like 2 hours into that. Okay. Really, even, and I've heard now that like after when it just opens up is when it really gets really good. So I just got to that part where it just opens up, and
so you're in the headquarters.
Yeah.
And so, they let you go now. You can leave, or you can't leave.
Yeah, I'm about to leave. Yes.
Okay. So I think I know where you are. Yeah, I'm roughly in the relatively same area. I think I may be one or two levels. I've beaten one or two levels. Have you seen the psychedelic thing?
No.
That's your treat. You'll love that. That's really good. I love. Actually, you know what? Speaking of that, there will be no spoilers in this, but there'll be no audio streams in the background of because I played it too, as well, and I really loved it. So go for it. Yes, but yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say like that. It's so cool though. I mean, and I don't know if we're going to get into Psychonauts today, but Tim Schafer is somebody that I was actually a fan of back. I used to PC game. I took a break from console gaming for a while. I went to PC back when they had a lot of the point and clicks, and back in the day, like, and then Half-Life came there and all that. But and I played Grim Fandango. I remember that still stands out as one of my most memorable gaming experiences. It's always a hard one to rate because I don't remember how it plays. But it's so cool seeing them get like this support and get this platform now. So I'm really excited. I think these are some of the cool highlights of maybe the whole Game Pass / getting these developers that maybe never couldn't get the resources in the past, giving them what they need to make their visions come true. And initially, just in 2 hours, I'm already feeling it. So
it's so cool. It really is. I'm right with you. And I'm a huge Tim Schafer fan, like monstrous Tim Schafer. He does no wrong in my book. He's never done everything he's done it's always small and weird and cool. Like I remember a lot of his games. I still play Brutal Legends at least once a year. I love that game. So
I need to play that.
when oh, bro, you need to play that. Oh, you do. This is that. This is like, and you can tell that this is not triple A. It's like double A shooting up, you know. And so was Brutal Legend. It was their big push, and it had the same kind of humor, same kind of writing, same kind of comedy. It's so good, and of course, it has Jack Black in it, and I'm a huge Jack Black guy, so I was right there for it. So if you like this, you definitely need to play that one too. That was really really cool. I dug it.
All right, well,
so yes,
Psychonauts 2, that's on my list.
Definitely, it's really cool. You'll enjoy, and I think it's also on Game Pass. So so there you go. Yes. So what else you been playing?
That's it. Like that. So those three games is really what's been in the main rotation. You know, I always have Halos in the rotation too. You know, so whenever I see my friends on, I'll jump on with that. So we'll get it more into Halo soon. But as far as newer games, those are the three.
Cool. Yes, I too have been playing Psychonauts. As you can see, I have a bit of gameplay of Psychonauts up as well. I've been playing 12 minutes as well. I beat 12 minutes. I won't spoil the ending. It's just strange. That's all I'll say. Strange ending. Go play that game. I agree with you. It's one of those games that you go, am I enjoying myself? But then when you're not playing it, you go, but I got to really go back and finish this thing. Because it's like a story and you're there for that story. I remember last week, Everborn was talking to me about it. He's like, he's not sure if he likes the graphics. Maybe it shouldn't have been a point and click adventure style, you know? But I feel like it's all in service of that story. And because it's all in service of that story, I feel like all the gameplay elements that may not necessarily be as, you know, well thought out, or you're not running around playing, you know, jumping around doing crazy stuff. It doesn't matter because that story is what's important, and they're giving it to you in a very kind of, you know, effective kind of way. So I really did appreciate it. Yeah, when you get to that ending, we may want to have another conversation.
Maybe we'll need to do a spoiler cast or something.
Yeah, we may do a spoiler cast or something like that. Yes, and I too also have been playing Hades. I had to put it down for a while. I love my roguelikes. I love my, you know, another run and another run and another run. As we were talking about it during the whole during the Returnal era, I said like Returnal was doing it right, but made a bit of mistake. This corrects those small little rooms. You go in, you do you move on. You go in, you do you move on. That's it. Whereas Returnal had that long extended thing that sometimes would disappoint even more when you lose, right? So I really think that they have the formula currently nailed. It's just now it's going through the runs over and over and over again. I'm still doing it, you know.
No, that's a good point. I think that what Hades does is it sets a new bar for roguelites. And I've been a fan. Like I think Dead Cells was the first one that I ever played, and it kind of hooked me into the genre. But I don't think too many have nailed the pacing the way Hades does. Like Hades doesn't make you feel like you wasted as much time. You go through something. Number one, it's quick, right? You're never spending an hour on a run. Generally, when you're early on, it's 15.
That's the key to a good roguelike. You never spend too much time on, so it makes you go, oh, another one and another one. You know, it's really good. It's really good at that. My first roguelike experiences were, and this is before roguelikes became like the thing. Most people don't know the game Rogue Legacy. If you haven't played it, go look it up. I played the hell out of that game on Vita. It is the quintessential roguelike experience. And also the other one by the guys that made Super Meat Boy, Binding of Isaac.
I've heard
another
of it. I have not
perfect roguelike. Perfect. Like it's such a perfect representation of what the roguelike genre represents and what it is. I really, really appreciated like playing it and seeing what it was about and all of that. So yes. So if y'all are into roguelikes, that's where you go. But if you're not into it, these are the games that will like, get you high, and then drop you to the floor and make you start all over again, over and over and over and over again. So if you're not into that, this might not be necessarily like your genre. But no, I appreciate that all of that. So what do you want to get into first? You want to get into the broader Gamescom topic, or do you want to start the Xbox Gamescom show? Because that was first, wasn't it, technically?
Yeah, it was first. I guess we can start with that Xbox.
Okay. So the Xbox Gamescom show, did you happen to catch it? What did you think?
Yeah, I caught that
Mm-hmm.
show, and in fact, I'm trying to think right now if that was one that I was, like I said, I was out of town. I was like on the road,
Mm-hmm.
kind of listening. But when I got back, I was able to catch up on a lot of things, and also we have Xbox, so we have a Discord, and like was looking through those chats and seeing what
Mm-hmm.
some of the people, some of the snoozes and things like that. I guess it was a show that seemed like it ran a little bit long. It was interesting because I do think that was a show that had some decent information in it, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the thing that Microsoft, I think, is going to need to continue to work at. I know they said a couple of days beforehand that there's not going to be any major announcements and things. And the problem, I guess, is people knew that there was still Halo out there, and maybe they needed to be
Mm-hmm.
more specific or something. I don't know, but the fact that they had that before Keeley's and their Halo was still sitting out there, it was like everybody kind of prepped and did their, like, hey, we're gonna.
Well. If it isn't Mr.
Oh,
Everborn Saga, I hope your fingers are working
hey,
when your voice isn't. My bad.
what
I'm
is up,
sorry.
Everborn?
Please continue. Yes.
Good morning. Yeah, I mean, so like overall, I thought there were some good highlights. I
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
some of the indie games they showed, even some of
Yep.
the DLCs they had. I'm a Wasteland
Really interesting
fan.
stuff. Yep.
Yep. And Flight Sim is not like a game I play every time. I put a little time in. Was impressed, but it's not something I go to all the time. But I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of a neat little announcement. If nothing else, just for what it might imply, for these first party studios, like that's like one of those modes that like nobody ever asked for, but it's something out of the box, and it makes you start to think, like, with all these other studios they have,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of, what other types of weird things are they going to come up with for
They're going to
supporting
start showing.
material?
Yeah, the ramifications are actually very interesting when
Yeah,
you take it further. Yeah, but in the context of the show, it was all right.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I thought the host did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft,
Yes.
I
Yeah,
think
they're
they
good with the
finally found.
hosts.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think they finally have found some hosts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like some of the other people, but I think
Yeah.
sometimes in the past, some of the sometimes some of the banter and stuff didn't come across as genuine, or they're reading off the script. I think Paris does a good job making,
Mm-hmm.
selling it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep. I
so
agree.
overall, yeah, I mean, kudos to them. This is stretched out. It was something that if it was a 40-minute show, and people would have known Halo wasn't going to be there,
And,
it probably would have landed. It wouldn't have been like earth shattering either way. I don't think it
mm-hmm.
mattered, but I think it would have landed a little bit better with the public if that was the case.
So, and we have the mag, Mr. Aloy himself. If you haven't checked his little skit on Twitter, you need to do yourself a favor and go watch that. It's absolutely hilarious. The mag is dropping some knowledge in the chat, talking about the best thing announced there was the cloud gaming coming to console. People don't understand the impact of that announcement. It is
That's big.
monumental.
It is.
It's so weird with Xbox because like we knew this already. Like I've been able to play. I have like a bunch of Xboxes. Back to the VCR OG Xbox One. I've been able to use that. They if you're in the insider program on there, they've added that x86 version of the browser on there a long time ago. So almost like 6 months now, I've been able to play Flight Sim on the OG Xbox One through that connection. Through the browser there. It's really cool and interesting. It's slowly getting better. In the beginning it was very buggy and stuff. I don't necessarily need it because I have a Series X, but I don't like sell my old tech, so I still have a lot of them there. It's really cool what they're doing. It is, as Mag has said, it's a monumental like achievement. They could go even further to the 360 if they wanted to, but they're choosing not to, which I think is kind of interesting. What was it? A couple months ago, Phil Spencer said that they still get telemetry on about 1 million Xbox 360 users that turn on their console. Imagine if they put the browser on there too.
Well, why? Is because we still don't got Project Gotham or NCAA football on the.
There are a bunch of 360 games that are still stuck there. That's right.
I know,
very true. It's a small amount, but still, they're still there, and it always tends to be your favorite. For me and my boy Marshano Loon, NBA Street 2. They'll never releasing it anywhere, and also NBA Street, and also FIFA Street. All this weird Street EA games. My boy and I used to play it all the time. Stuck on 360. Can't get another one. So
People think they don't need backwards compatibility until that itch comes for that game. You know what? We talked about games I was playing, and I don't know why I skipped this, and it's probably because it is such an old game that nobody would care about. I decided I was going to do a run through of the entire Splinter Cell collection because it was on sale.
Oh, that's awesome, bro! That is awesome. That's amazing. I love that series. That's great. So like the original one, like the first one.
I'm on the first one right now. I'm 2002 Splinter Cell.
The cloth physics on that thing is insane. It wafts in the wind, and it looks so real at a time when nothing looked real. It was really cool.
No, when that came out, remember when that? I don't know if you remember that because I was all in on OG Xbox back then, and that was like that was one of the after Halo PGR launched. There was in DOA there was a big dry period for that console, and then that just came out. It was and that was
gave people something to play.
Yeah, it was such a step up back then. But yeah, that backwards compatibility. But no, Mag's right. That was a big announcement. I feel
Game
like though
changer.
because we've been talking about it and expecting it for people that are really that are really in tune with what's going on. And maybe it didn't feel like a big surprise, I guess.
Yep.
Or maybe some people were like, well, didn't that already happen? Because, they keep announcing stuff. But no, you're right. That is long-term. That's going to have a huge impact, especially as
the other thing that I think will have a huge impact with this, as you're saying that because they've announced it so many times, they'll drop another news nugget, I suspect, at some point with this, but it also will go down it's no big deal. There will come a time where you see a game you want and you can just start playing it right away while it's downloading in the background. Can't happen right now, but it will happen soon. And they've kind of dropped it all over the place already. So when they do announce it, people go, yeah, isn't that already available? But it's totally game changing. It has not happened yet. I'm waiting for that.
And I don't think people really kind of think about. I mean, if you don't have great internet, this may be something that you're not even going to play around with. But yeah, when it comes down to you just look at something and you can just pull it up and start playing it, that's going to change. I think the likelihood people start to sample things, or just give games a try that they wouldn't have, and so that'd be really interesting to see how that kind of affects habits, because convenience is a big drive. People don't understand why the industry or why these mega corporations are so big on gaming right now. But really, convenience is a huge part. And accessibility is a huge part of the business of gaming. It is the thing. The more accessible it gets, and the easier it is, the less work you need to do to sit down and start playing something. That
it's what Netflix did to take over, right? It's what they did. Now, who grabs a DVD anymore? Who grabs a Blu-ray? What is that?
You're right. It's
that's right.
Sometimes you'll see a Redbox and you're like, how did you guys still stay alive?
Yeah.
But because nobody really talks about going and renting a DVD anymore and things like that. And I think eventually it's probably going to get that way with the casuals. I think enthusiasts will always want the lowest latency, the best quality. But there's going to be I think for as the internet continues to improve in a few years, it's gonna feel a lot different. People are going to stream a lot more than I think even our circle, our bubble goes, oh, that's never going to catch on because of this, that. And it's no, you're focused on things that the average.
Yeah, you're focused on the hardcore. Yeah, the casual market will eat this stuff up. Before long, we'll still always want local rendering. We'll still have the latest and greatest tech because we like that stuff. But it's really interesting to see where this is going to go. I'd say 5-6 years, it's going to be quite interesting.
That sounds about right. That's when when 5G becomes right now, it's not really 5G.
That's right. That's right.
I don't think it's
4G plus, but most people don't recognize that.
It's a little 5G mixed in. It's not really 5G, and so and there's all kinds of stuff going on. If you I don't know if you've done any research on Starlink.
We can dig through the net neutrality ramifications. We can go real deep in the tech talk. But I completely agree with you 100%. All that really matters, and most people don't see that part of the equation, But no, you're absolutely right.
No, it's good. It's gonna.
Everyone's ears are perking up. He heard that. He was like, "What?"
Yeah, it's going
Uh-huh.
to it's going to get good enough, and that's
Yes,
and that's the key. It's not about it being as good as local.
that's
If
right.
you look, if you talk to people that are movie enthusiasts,
Mm-hmm.
they 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 still want to buy their discs, right? They say
Yeah,
there's a quality difference, or at least up until
100%.
recently.
Yeah.
They would tell me,
Oh, I
like,
still refuse to watch. I still refuse to watch The Matrix in anything other than Blu-ray. I don't care
right,
where it's showing. I will go get my Blu-ray and I'll watch that because that is my favorite movie of all time, and it needs to be seen in the most pristine quality possible.
right,
Otherwise, most movies I watch on Netflix, no big deal.
right. But that's how it's going to be, right? Yeah,
Exactly.
you're going to need the pristine thing, but yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. No. So okay. So real quick before we move off the topic of actual Xbox's show, some of the trailers they announced, they showed some more Dying Light 2 footage. I thought it was cool. But I was
Mhm.
hoping to see real. I was hoping they really pushed it. But I am excited to see that Dying Light is finally past that point of it's getting close. It's coming. Dying Light 1 is still being played by obscene amounts of people. It's still a great game. If you haven't played it, people, you should definitely do that. So they showed some more gameplay of Dying Light 2. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. They real quick aside, the flight sim, they added a requested feature. I think they listened to Everborn. They listened to a show where Everborn said, "This is not a game. I don't like it because there's no actual races. I want some races. You got some races."
There you go. Yeah, it's a game now.
Yeah, I told him, look, there are mods online. You could do all. He goes, no, I don't want mods. I want the official rate. There you go. All done.
Now
Have
you can
fun.
get achievements or whatever.
Now you
Yeah.
get achievements. Exactly. So
Yeah,
they did that.
Dying
Mhm.
Light, and I missed this part. Did they talk anything about the progression? Was there anything after because I know initially they wanted it to be like at one point in time before they got rid of that one guy
Mhm.
who did some shady things,
Shady
or
stuff. Yeah.
bad things. I won't get into that. But
Uh-huh.
like I remember, like his intention was to make it more of an RPG, or like I
They
think
still
that's
have a lot of those elements there. They're still really and I think that's why from what I could see, like the chat was like very mixed on it. Oh, the graphics quality may not be there or whatever. But I think they're
yeah,
spending their resources elsewhere. They're
yeah.
really going in on AI. And depending on how you deal with these factions, it changes the equation, and people will know. And there's just a lot of like. Think of the evolution of Telltale games. They'll remember.
Mhm.
There's a lot of branching paths in their game, and it's very open-ended, open world. So I think they're spending a lot of that resources there, and it's kind of making the visuals look a little bit not bad, but not special, not like next gen, because technically this is not a next gen game. This is
No.
basically originally slated for PS4 and all of that. It's very cross gen. It's very much in the cross gen vein. So, but I really liked what I saw, and the first one was great. So I'm looking forward to seeing if they're able to bring back that magic that they captured in the first one. A lot of people still play that game.
Yeah, and I like. I guess that it's almost. I don't know if that even relates to some of the Halo stuff we talk about, because I've actually had this debate with not a debate, but a discussion with a friend of mine who's like, we're talking about, well, why can't it look like Horizon Zero Dawn or things like that? It's like, every game prior, uses their resources differently. Now that was a game made, pretty much spent its life on last gen for most of its development. It's been in development a little bit so far. So but just in terms of what the developers are trying to do, like there's only so many resources, and not all of them are prioritized to graphics, right? So
Yep,
so a game
exactly.
yeah, a game like that, when you start saying like AI things going on the screen, like
there's some interesting things going on. People remember things. It's not like dumb NPCs. It seemingly is taking it to that level that people thought Cyberpunk was going. That's where they thought Cyberpunk was going, but it looks like this game is actually really thinking of smart AI rather than just dumb things that do things.
And you know what? And that's, to me, that excites me more than
Yes, that is the true next gen. Yes,
that sounds next gen.
Doesn't have to look amazing, as long as I can follow a guy and watch him go to work, watch him go home, watch him hang out with his family, watch an NPC that has a complete life that can all be, and there's a bunch of them. That's the idea. That was the initial idea of, hey, such complexity that each of these guys can have their own agency, do their own thing, and then they interact with you in certain ways. we haven't really gotten that, but it looks like
No.
these guys are trying for something like that, which is pretty cool, pretty interesting. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. So another piece of news that dropped that kind of came and went, but I thought was also very interesting. Basically, all of Humble games are coming to Game Pass day one.
Yeah,
I thought that was awesome. I love all the games that Humble is bringing out now. Now, for those that don't know, Humble is owned by IGN. Take that for what you will, but yes, Humble is owned by IGN. Yes, that's one of those things that most people don't know. Yes, they own IGN owns them. They bought them 3-4 years ago or something like that. But their games, they have been very much Devolver light in who they support. It's always very eclectic, very interesting, more pixel art leaning than 3D. But every time I've seen Humble games, I have been impressed. And this is the most recent one was is this dodgeball game that's also an RPG Academia kind of thing that's on Game Pass. That's one of the Humble games,
People really
very
like
interesting
that.
stuff. Yeah, very interesting stuff. I'm impressed that Xbox is still doing that. They're still they can work on their AAAs, do all this, but then they can go, okay, Devolver, put all your stuff in most of the Devolver stuff is in there. I'm hoping for a world where Devolver just like does the whole EA Play thing and just goes all of our games in there. I will play Devolver games all day. I love it. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the one. Yes, Academia game. Yes, very very. It's fun. It's fun and it's great. They announced that they showed the Into the Pit game. It looks like a Doom. Like an old school Doom 3D game, but you're magic instead of shooting guns. That was really, really weird. Let's see. They of course, and this is what kind of this is where I think this is where people decided that okay, this show is not good. They did the Age of Empires trailer in which they spent like 15 minutes describing a trebuchet and how to use it and what it was used for. And I'm just like, guys, did nobody watch this and go, this might stall our progress a little bit?
Yeah, that kind of affected the pacing. That was probably one of the. I guess that wasn't the show for that. I guess is what I would say. That's probably an inside Xbox.
I was like, did I change this to the History Channel real quick? Like, what's happening? I love history and I dig that stuff, but at that moment in between all those games, I was like, I'm sure the audience right now watching this are just like, get me out of here.
Yeah, it's like, and if you're like media that's streaming it, you're probably going, So like they got to be a little bit more self-aware there. Going back to the Humble Bundle thing though, one of the games that stood out to me, and I don't know if this clicked with anybody else, but as somebody that grew up a Sega Genesis fanboy, there's that one game that looked kind of like a Shinobi. I don't.
Yes. I forget its name. You're absolutely right. Oh my God, I forget the name of the game. I'm gonna find it. Yes. That's
probably one of my highlights, just because it just
looks so cool. It looks like Genesis graphics done right, like evolution of where Shinobi was. I was like, I need this game immediately. Yes, I remember the game you're talking about.
So
I don't even know its name.
No, I'll have to look it up. But that is like one of the highlights usually of these types of shows. I like to see, I like
you didn't know you'd want.
Yeah, like the new thing that's coming, like these things that are going to come to Game Pass that you're not going to you're just going to be able to download and try it out.
It becomes your next favorite thing. You didn't even know you needed it in your life. That's 100% what that looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, that looked like one that I knew I needed. I probably would have been all over that regardless. Yep. But yeah, that was a highlight for me. But yeah, keep going. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, of course, no, 100%. So yeah, I won't go through all of them. They obviously, like, they had some DLCs announced for Wasteland 3. They're doing more stuff with Sea of Thieves, more tie-ins, which is interesting. This one not as too much to my liking as the other one. It's more, they did the Jungle Book, which is cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. I hope they get a bit more. I really like the Pirates of the Caribbean one they did, so I'm all for them continuing to tap into that. They announced Stray Blade. It was an interesting little weird game that I had not seen from them, and I'm not sure if it's an exclusive to them, but it was on their stage. It was really odd, weird little game. I should have maybe gotten the trailer for it, but it was really weird and it looked interesting, and these are one of those things that, hey, Game Pass and all that, and Xbox like trying things. So I hope it turns out to be something like we were describing. I hope it turns out to be something I didn't know I wanted. So I thought that was really interesting. Did you see that?
Yeah, that one it was interesting because I'm a big Dark Souls fan. It looked like the moment to moment was a little bit
It's very Dark
Souls-ish.
Souls-y. Yep, yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep,
so
yep,
that got
yep.
me. That always gets my attention. I'm a huge Dark Souls fan. So,
Okay.
but that but it has a different sort of game design to it. So I don't know if that's
Different
like more.
style, has weird like beastie looking like ducks that are a little too looking. They're too like mature looking ducks. I was like, okay, this is very weird.
Which gave me some
But
Monster Hunter vibes
yep,
with that.
yep,
Like
yep.
a cat or something. I don't know, but
Yeah, palicos or whatever what their names are called. It was really weird, but I like people taking swings. It's good, it's fun. You never know, you might like it. And then another game that came up, and actually I think I do have the trailer for that. Let me see if I have it here, and I'll play it. I love this game. I can't wait to play it. It's, ladies and gentlemen, The Gunk. It's still coming in 2021. I'm excited. Oh my god, I can't wait to play that game. That development team, I have played every single game they've made. And every time they make a new one, of course they've been so far in the Steam world, but it's always so interesting and always so, like they change genres and it's always well written and you can tell they're just like a small studio doing their best, but they're literally really like at a high clip, like really doing their best with what they have, and they're growing. They say this is their first 3D game. I am like here for it. It's on Game Pass. I will buy this still because I want them to have the opportunity to make more games. I think they're great. Have you interfaced with any of the Steam World games? Do you know of these guys?
I haven't, but I know of them. Actually, no, I take it back. Maybe I think I've started one of them. It's one of those things that I was just downloading a bunch of games from. I can't remember if I got that off Game Pass. I think I did. I was so it was in my rotation for a minute, but I do know that people are huge. I got some, a friend that's a huge fan of those Steam World games, and the developer in general is a really good developer. And I think
great developer.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because I feel like this is something we might have talked about in Boom Show too, about the some of these indie developers like taking next steps, and this is obviously one of they've gone from like side scrolling, very indie graphics to something that's starting to. I wouldn't say it's like exactly like today's AAA, but this is definitely it's nice to look at.
Luigi's Mansion done AAA. It's cool.
Yeah,
I like it.
I visually, for it not being AAA, I find myself like really digging the style, all the colors, and so but putting that together with their what they're known for, which is really how their games sort of progress and are laid out, and so that's going to be interesting. And that's something that people were looking forward to when they with Returnal, and obviously they didn't hit everything, but a lot of people like that blend, and I think this is kind of again going in that kind of direction where you are taking developers that are good at like thinking about, like when you think about games in 2D, for them to be successful, you really have to nail the progression, the gameplay, the moment to moment, things like that. And now, and I think a lot of times, like with some developers, I actually heard this from I think Tom Mahler from Moon Studio said this, that when he targets different people to come to his studio, he finds sometimes people that have spent too much time in the 3D, the AAA space, they come from I don't know if he mentioned Ubisoft or anything like that, but there's a different focus. They're
trained a different way. They're geared towards a different priorities are different.
Yeah, like when it comes to like the overall game design, the
development
layout
style.
Yeah. They're not thinking as much about the game or moment to moment things like that, and how and just how that game is going to necessarily feel, or how what's pushing you to do the next thing. It's there's a kind of different focus, and so I am really looking forward to more of that type of thing. And I get it, like not everybody who played Returnal likes Returnal. I think as Everborn, he's not here right now, but yeah, I think he's one of them.
Now's the best time to slander him. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, but and I haven't played it myself because I haven't got hold of
it needs an adventure mode, in my opinion. Remove the roguelike element, make it a standard adventure game. It is awesome. Like, it's the roguelike that's ruining the style a little bit, in my opinion. But yeah, I really dug the game in general. I thought it was fun. It's just those roguelike elements that make you lose everything. The minute that part, that
Yeah.
becomes a little bit problematic because it's such a long run before you lose everything. You know,
But
that's the yeah.
no, but at the same time, though, you know, when I think about that, though, that game does try something different, right? Like it
Yes.
does bring it merges like two genre. It takes a
It's kind of like
genre
an
that's
adventure games with roguelike
well,
elements rather than a
yeah,
roguelike game. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
and so that's kind of and so I'm interested to see, and I do wish the you know we got to hear a little bit more about the gameplay with the gunk. But that's the kind of stuff that I think is going to be it's going to be exciting and fun to see because these developers don't have to because they're not $1 billion games, you know, that spend years.
Yeah, they can shoot their shot. They can get weird with it. They can do whatever the heck they want, and you know,
It's
you'll
still,
like it or you won't, and they'll be profitable because they don't need much.
right.
You know, I think that's perfect. You know, and I really like that Xbox is focusing more on games on developers like that. Developers like the developers that made the Medium. You may like it, you may not. It was a small game with a small team that shot higher than you thought they would. You know, it's cool. I like that. It's inspiring that they're seeing the environment and giving the small guys a chance to shine. And, you know, from a business perspective, it also gets you off their butt while they're working on their AAAs, you know? So it works for all around, you know?
Yep, absolutely.
Yes. Salute to Mr. Boomstick for joining us. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you being here. He's welcoming you, OBM. Thank you, man. I really appreciate you being in the chat. Thank you, sir. So yes, let's see. I think we covered most of the specific Xbox games show that did it. Yeah, they showed off the Halo the Forza 5 controller. It looked more like Dirt 5 controller to me. It was very splashy, neon-y coloring thing, which was cool. You know, the style wasn't for me, but I like that they're doing very interesting things. I will say, Xbox, please put that stuff in Design Lab. Stop making the Design Lab so standard and then releasing this splash of color. Let us do the splash of color. Maybe I'll choose different colors to splash with, you know? That's what I want. I'll buy more Design Lab stuff if I could do a bit more crazy stuff rather than the standard buttons look like this and the thing look like that, you know? But I do like that they're continuing to do that, you know? They're continuing to push in that direction.
They must do really good with all this controller stuff because it just, we always expect every show to be like another controller.
And how many people do you see online that show you their controller collection? People have like hundreds of these things. Like, whoa.
Yeah. I save all my controller money to make sure I got the warranties in my elites. That's about it. But
and you need them, people. The elites need them. One definitely did. Two so far has been my Elite 2 so far has been okay with me, but the first one, oh yeah, I needed to replace it a couple times.
I can't put. I have a hard time. That's why, like when I see these like pretty controllers, it's like, does it got paddles? If not, it feels 2 gens ago.
it feels too generic. I can't deal with it. Yes, we need the good controller. I will say the thing that people did announce were saying that I kind of agree with is. I'm sure you saw also the Halo anniversary, like the Halo Infinite Special Edition controller that they made. Yeah. My initial thing, and I was at a doctor's appointment when all this stuff happened, so I didn't get my hands on the controller or any of the console. I'm actually kind of happy about that because if I was available to purchase, I might have done so and then regretted it later.
Well, you
I have them. I don't need them. Exactly.
Did you see them reselling on eBay?
Already?
At least the console. I know the console is reselling for a lot. So,
oh my goodness, yeah. See, the thing about the controller that I thought was odd was, so there are a little bit of issues with the Series 2, right? One included being that it didn't have the firmware to allow for low latency mode. They said they would. It still hasn't happened yet, right?
Yeah.
And there's no share button. Yes, that middle button is a as we all know, those who have an Elite 2, it's a profile select button. You can, of course, like make one of the other buttons your share button, but it's not like out of the box the next gen version. So it seems to me like they're painting all of the old ones to get rid of it in order to then release a Gen 3. Like that's what it seems like. Why would you come with a next gen, this, that, and the other, and then release Gen 2? Would now be the perfect time for a Gen 3 with a special edition? Yeah. You know, that's where my cynical brain went real quick.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Yeah. I definitely, now that I'm doing, more involved with the content creation thing, I
Mhm,
definitely
mhm.
miss that, not having that share button on the controller. And I map all my paddles. I use all my paddles, like all
Yeah,
four of
me
them. So
too.
I
Constantly,
can't
yeah.
I can't use one of them as a share. It
Yeah.
just it.
I think you can do like they have this weird thing where you can do like a
Oh,
shift A, shift B, kind of like you can in the control settings, you can make one of the back pedals a shift, and then when you press that and then press something else, that's your share. But that's like, that's for like power users. It should just be a button on the cover on the front, Yeah.
yeah. I like to know how my paddles are mapped, and yeah, that
Mhm.
just messes with it. But yeah, you're right. Maybe that is the scheme there.
Mhm. Yeah. But I will say it's good that if you are a purchaser of this, know that I have had the Series 2 for a while. I think I've had the Series 2 since Jump, Elite Series 2, and I haven't had any issues. Series 1, the grips were quick to get to leave to rip off of it, and there was just a bunch of issues with it. But Series 2 has been pretty solid so far, so hopefully that continues to be the case. So let's see. And of course, as you announced, they showed off the console. The thing about the console that they showed off that I'm like, this is awesome, but it kind of lost a little bit of its thing for me is, the community has done so well, and shout out to Wandering Dutch, who's a panel member on Primetime on Boom Show, and he does the midweek mix up. If you haven't checked it out, please check out Dutch's stuff. He is awesome at the customization stuff. If you see his stuff, you'll just be blown away. So it kind of made me go, yeah, Xbox did good, but I kind of like Dutch's stuff better. If you see his his Sanua Sacrifice custom
Mhm.
Xbox, wow, like it is,
Yeah.
they really take it there. So it's I think like the community and Pope Art and all of them have kind of outdone the official ones now. So I feel like they need to step their game up a little bit more, right? I'd
Yeah.
rather go buy Pope Art, or I'm when I didn't get the Elite Series 2, I was like, oh, Dutch, how about you and I have a conversation, and maybe I'll get you to buy an Elite Series 2 there, customize it, and send it to me. It'll be roughly the same price, and it'll be unique, So that's probably
Yeah.
where I'll go with my custom controller. But I think I might wait till the Elite Series 3, if and when they announce that, and then I'll have him do something real interesting with that. But okay,
Yeah.
let's move on to what we're here to talk about, which is mainly more Halo than anything else, because we started after the initial conversation, after the initial show. People had a whole bunch of issues. What happened? Why the heck did they not tell us when that game is coming? Why did they not tell us when Halo is actually coming? But they seem to announce it on the Keeley show. Before we get into it deeply, I would love your insight into that, because it seemed like everybody gave Xbox a show a D for various reasons, right? And the nail in the coffin being no Halo announcement. And then Keeley's show got an A or a B because obviously they cut out all the fat, which was good which was good. It was a very enjoyable show. And then of course they had the Halo announcement, which actually had already leaked before then. So I feel like Xbox did themselves a disservice on this one. What do you think?
I mean, I understand it. I hear what people are saying. Like, and personally, this goes back to like, I guess this goes back to like, did they even need their own show? Like, maybe they should have just put all their big guns into Keeley's thing. The reason why they did it is because Keeley has he has a different audience. And what they're trying to do right now is they're trying to expand their audience. Like they know the people that are going to watch Gamescom for Xbox are Xbox fans. Primarily, they're not even the casual Xbox fans. They're probably the most. They're probably the enthusiasts. They're the ones who already who bought the Xboxes on day one. They're all in on Halo regardless. What they're trying to do right now, and it makes sense, and I think they're going to continue to leverage Keeley, including the Game Awards and things like that, is they're going to try to expand their presence, and Keeley does offer them that type of thing that maybe it wasn't available, a lot in the last generation, especially as he wasn't, he's kind of just started to blow up recently. And what you want to do is you want to start to get back in front of those customers that maybe have tuned you out, like the guys that maybe were on the 360, that were enthusiasts that moved over to the PlayStation, or or maybe Nintendo fans as they're starting to like expand maybe with their next add another console onto their Nintendos, and so Keighley gives them that opportunity. It's a new audience. It's a base that they're not going to reach through their own show, and honestly, and we probably all can relate to this. You could think back to if you were ever just a single platform gamer at any point in time, you probably, and especially before you were doing any of this, any sort of content creation, you may have just tuned in, just dialed into one show, and all the rest of that stuff was just, maybe you heard a little bit when it was a press clipping, maybe you didn't, but generally these types of combined shows are going to be opportunities for all the brands to really expand their just expand their mind share with people that they normally are not going to get a chance to. So I don't know how big that is, but it is more than they would have had. So I think that's fine. I don't think there was any real miss in the strategy. I think the miss probably had more to do with positioning that, and I think they could have positioned that better by just having their show after his, right? And that way people would have known.
I agree. Yes, maybe they should have had their show after his and kept that announcement of the date of for their show, because it kind of seemed to turn their show from a B+ B to a D or C or D, because of the trebuchet issues and the lack of actual date releases. They kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit.
Yeah, replace the trebuchet with the Halo stuff. And
with the Halo stuff, and you good. That's right. That's right. So shout out to Ash and Luca. Thank you so much for checking us out. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. We are big fans of yours on this channel. So thank you so much for being out here and checking us out for real quick. So we're moving on to the main topic that we're all here to talk about, right? And that is basically what happened with Halo. Where did Halo? What did they do with Halo? Why is Halo Infinite still the topic of conversation, both good and bad? And for that, I thought I would invite some community members to join our conversation. And for that, I introduce community member Mr. Pixel Bit G. What's going on, man?
What's going on, man?
Welcome.
What's going on? All right.
Yes, this is awesome. I appreciate you jumping in here. We can't have Halo talk without you, good sir. So and unfortunately, Everborn can't join us right now. But hey, we're here for it, and we appreciate you coming in. He might jump in real quick if his voice allows, but
I can add the slander. I can add the slander. He's not here
keep the slander levels high. Yes. I know you and him have similar slander levels, so y'all can keep it high.
We try.
So yes. Let's start this conversation with first with Halo at their show, right? We were expecting more campaign. At least I was expecting more campaign because when the campaign came and it hit a little bit not as great as people wanted it to, that's what led to all the delays and yada 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 yada. So when they came back, they had the multiplayer stuff. People were happy about it. We played it. We enjoyed it, right? And then the next showing, we were expecting more Halo, but this time maybe. And we may have lost him for a minute. He'll jump back in. I think maybe he's having some connection issues. Next time. We thought maybe, they will have, more, at least a little bit more, a snippet more of campaign conversation for us, right?
Yeah.
And based on that, we then you double hit that with the date of release, and you're good to go. We didn't really get that, right? So please, I will start with you, Pixel. I know you were having a bit of connection issues. Sure. What do you think? How did you receive it? Because I know you're a huge Halo fan.
Yeah. It just didn't make any sense. All right. They could have at least shown re-showed the clip from last year that went so terribly wrong, right? Re-show that clip. Give people confidence that, okay, we know what we're doing now, right? So the little clip that they showed of the multiplayer intro for season 1 was nice. I mean, that was a good looking clip, but it's CGI. So users aren't really seeing, anything related to the game. But I kind of also didn't expect them to show it, though. I wanted it, but I still feel like they want to hold it to the last minute, right? And I think Gears did that. If you recall when Gears 5 released, it was the same conversation, right? They were showing multiplayer stuff. The community was upset about it. and then they did not. I'm not sure. Did they even show? Did they even show single player?
I don't think
before
they
the
showed
game
single
released?
player until right when it's ready to go. Yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
They probably
was
they
last
did not.
second.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. They were
I
trying to
felt-
hold that it's that open linear style, close to the vest. With Halo's a little weird because we know it's not linear, right? They've been saying it's an open world game, so we've already seen some parts of it. So I'm not sure if they're concerned about creating more of an issue with people seeing it again and then having to wade their way through all the complaints, because you know how the Halo community is, right? We're going to complain one way or the other, right? And what I've been having debates online with people about is people have been complaining about Halo since Halo 2.
Yep.
Right? Everybody's like, 343. I'm like, no. This goes back to Bungie, right? This goes
people don't
back
understand
to
us.
Halo 2. The slander for Halo has been long and deep. When they announced Arbiter, right? Which they're playing more than half the game is Arbiter. It was the same conversation with Halo 5.
Yeah,
But people
100%.
forget that.
I remember
People
that.
hated
Yes.
that. And then the
Yes.
game it ended abruptly, right? It
Yeah.
ended on a
Halo 2
cliffhanger.
had no ending. It just kind of cut. Yep.
Right. So, the way I look at it is they can't win for losing. I mean, there really just
100%.
isn't anything they could do. So
Yeah,
I didn't
100%.
expect much. I really did hope to see the campaign, but it didn't matter to me one way or the other. I'm playing it day one, so it's
There you
whatever.
What do you think, OBM?
Yeah, no, I mean, Pixabit makes some really good points because it's so funny. It's always funny too when I hear like when you are positive about something and then you get the accusations of you're Halo fanboys, you're bootlicking corporate whatever. It's like you don't understand the true Halo fan is probably more critical, probably more toxic than any other fan base.
Any fan base, yes.
And I feel like now that I'm a representative for like one of the representatives with Xbox Era, it's like, do I need to go back in my post history like at Halo Waypoint and start deleting stuff because I have my own.
My Master Chief is running too fast. Slow him down. My Master Chief is running too slow. Speed him up. Why do we have like? Oh boy.
Yeah, we're never happy. So he brings up a really good point because I remember it's so funny when we kind of look. Well, this isn't something you expect with Halo. It's like, no, we've been through this. Like if Halo 2 would have released if Halo 2 went through the exact same process it went through and released the way it released today, it would have been treated in such a
tarred and feathered in the streets. It would have been tarred and feathered in the streets. People would have enjoyed dumping on it. Yep.
It was released like a gas campaign. Like you released it with a cliffhanger, like unfinished. And they did. They cut 1/3 of the campaign and then they went through.
They admitted that it was unfinished. So we're hoping that at least this game isn't unfinished.
So for anybody that's going, well, it's never been through this before. No, if you really actually dive into what happened with Halo 2, like that E3 trailer, and I know I'm getting off topic, but I need to catch this while.
Oh no, please speak on it. We're here for Halo, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, so that E3 trailer that you saw, I think that was E3 of 2003, right? Like where they did the whole campaign run through. The developers admitted that it was never running on OG Xbox. It never could have run on OG Xbox. The entire game engine it was built on was never used. It was as fake as anything that was out there. And
so this is Cyberpunk before Cyberpunk, huh?
Yeah, it was Cyberpunk. That whole thing was obviously.
Sorry to disturb.
Oh,
another challenger joins the race. Unfortunately, his voice is a little bit. We have to. The slander might be a little less.
It's Kermit the Frog.
He is. Mr. Everborn Saga, you're on mute, sir. If you'll unmute yourself and say hello to the people.
What's happening? Let me know if I'm bodying a little bit.
No, you're here. You good. You good.
Terrible?
You good.
All right.
You sound good. You sound all right.
I will weigh in.
He told me that. He told me that.
To provide
What are you providing?
Backup. That's all.
Slanderous backup. Okay.
Slanderous backup. That's all. But I know Pixel got this under control. I'm just a hype man right now. So you guys go ahead.
Everborn in the background, like, yeah, boy.
Exactly.
He put me in the DMs. He's like, I'm gonna be here. As soon as y'all, if you don't represent correctly, I'm gonna come in here and correct you. I'm like,
all right. Duly noted.
That's right. Please, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Continue.
No, it's cool. But yeah, so like getting back to the Halo 2 story, like so that game in the last year they basically rebuilt everything. So everything that was up to that last year had to be cut. They redid the entire campaign. So obviously Staten was on for that entire process, and and 1/3 of the campaign got cut. The developers they wanted to delay the game. They were not ready. Microsoft said no, and those guys are basically sleeping under their desks. If you would have had like a Jason Schreier and Twitter and all this stuff back
in those days, yes, this would have been a Cyberpunk 2077's issue.
They would have somebody would have got thrown in jail, man, for like inhumane, like work conditions. It was not a good process, and I mentioned that not to say that like hey, this is going to like land the way Halo 2 did. We know that like Halo 2 is probably the, aside from Halo CE, was probably
considered one of the greatest Halos ever made.
Well, it was probably besides Halo CE, which kept the Xbox from going under in general. Halo 2 is probably the next most important game in their entire existence. It is the thing that propelled Xbox Live. It is the thing that gave them momentum into the 360 generation, because now it became an event when it launched, and we know how that story turned out. So I'm not saying that's going to replicate itself, right? Because we also know there's Anthem, we know that there's Cyberpunk, we know that that doesn't work. But if you even go into the histories of Mass Effect, if you go into the history of God of War, some of the greatest games.
Every great game seems to have a really, really crazy story behind it, usually, right?
Well, a lot of times things are great in hindsight, right? Some of these games become greater in hindsight, right? Look at the ODST, how it was received. It was fully received.
True.
It's a great game, right?
One of my favorite. Love the music in that. Oh, Mario O'Donnell struck out amazing. Yes.
And that's funny you bring up ODST, because when that came out, that wasn't there was controversy around that, right? And a lot of people now finally remember it. So
where's my Master Chief? There's no Master Chief in the whole game. What is this? Get this out of here.
Why is it episodic? What's going on?
Get us out of here. This is trash.
Why am I only playing an ODST? It's a brilliant game, though, but
Yes.
Let me add this one point, because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, right? And just remember, August 28th, Saturday morning at around 11 o'clock that everyone said this. The moment, December 8th, if the campaign is a hit and everybody loves it, the new drama will be that Jason Schreier article about how everybody has to crunch to get it.
I mean, that's coming out regardless.
Is going to happen. The narrative is being written right now. Don't worry about it.
It is coming out.
This is what I'm saying. But this is I think one of my issues, and this is not Jason Schreier, he's doing his job, but what I'm saying is we pretend that we want the developers to be treated well and we want them to have all the time they need, but as soon as there's a delay, there's you motherfuckers need to be replaced. And I apologize for the person, but
no worries.
But
man.
This is what it is. All of this, you need to be replaced, and everything. You cannot point to another high-profile game that has been this transparent since the initial delay, right? And the idea to me, but that's a double-edged sword. And what 343's bet is that we will be able to process this information like adults. Doesn't mean we're happy about it. Doesn't mean we're making excuses. But we're adults and we can understand. And we say we appreciate the transparency, but we don't. Right? And we have no idea what's happening with God of War development. Maybe they have issues, maybe they don't. But you get nothing until they want to show it to you. And I understand that, but I don't really care about the marketing of a thing. You didn't wine and dine me properly. So you didn't show me this trailer on this date by this time. None of that makes any sense. And I hear hardly any of the conversation around, let's see what they put out and judge it off that, because no one wants to do that. The social media, I don't want to blame social media because that's generic, but what I'm saying is the environment that we are in is conducive to having a take. every moment. So we only live from moment to moment, not looking at the big picture. Now, if I told you a developer says, I don't want to release this feature until it's ready, I know I could release it, but I'm going to wait until I feel like it's ready to put it out. In any other world, that would be a good thing. But in this world, they delay the feature, and that's a problem. But if they put it out and it's buggy, then that would be a problem. Right? And I'm not saying 343 didn't bring a lot of this on themselves, but why is it so hard to say, let's see what the finished product is and then judge accordingly at that point? And I don't hear enough of that happening in all of the discourse and the spaces and the you know what I mean, the church groups that people have about how this is the end of the world.
Church groups.
Well, and that's you know, so that actually goes into I want to bring up what SloMo said, because SloMo said something else this week on DPS that I think is an important factor to kind of consider too. So he says, then why are you all bringing it up if you aren't insinuating it's going to replicate the same success? I think the point is, it goes to like what Everborn's saying. It's like we know that, you know, some of the best games of all time have gone through hell. We know that, and we know some of the biggest failures of all time have gone through hell. So I guess what we're saying is that it could go either way, right? Like that, like just taking it objectively, not knowing that, not being able to actually play the game right now. Objectively, we know that it's possible that either or could happen, and because of that, and because we know that troubled development doesn't necessarily equate to a failed product, it could just, you know, obviously we know that they are behind. We know that in a perfect world, they would be in a perfect world, it would have launched, you know, last year at the launch of the Xbox, it would have had all the modes in it, but it didn't, right? So things happened. We know that there's they've had to make some compromises, and the thing is, a lot of times in a lot of games, you don't really know the compromises that are made. You don't know what hits the cutting room floor. You don't know what the initial vision was, you know, before it got changed. And if you talk to people that in AAA development, that happens a lot. A lot of times, you know, I've talked to a buddy that's on AAA, you know, contract work for a long time, and a lot of these projects do pull together in the final 6 months. Sometimes less than that is when they come together. If you've done again, like look at the God of War documentary where they were, Yoshida wasn't sure it was a good game until just months before it was released. So and that obviously turned out to be, you know, one of the best games of all, if not the top game of last generation.
It's definitely a close second to Witcher 3, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, and that's not comparing this to that. I guess
I've already played.
Yeah.
It's a great game.
So that's just to say that you don't know until the day of, and there's some other factors around this game, and so they went into shutdown mode. And I know this is something SloMo talked about, and so when people say, I want to explain that, because there's a lot of the reason why I feel like this isn't good right now or it's coming in too hot is because they didn't show me anything at Gamescom. And yes, if they were completely done and all they were doing is waiting on a date right now and barely, you know, doing anything, you probably would have seen the game at Gamescom. But they need that time, right? So to understand is that when you end up showing a game before it is completely done, it takes resources from the studio. Like every single vertical slice you've ever seen.
Yep. It's a separate little game that they have to go off and make, which is always time consuming.
You give it to a separate team. They do the polishing, and they you know, maybe they script some of the AI. It's like, don't look behind that wall because it's not finished. You know, there's a lot of that going on. You know, so vertical slices aren't necessarily, the developers just taking the game where it exists today and going and playing it. Like even the one that we saw last year, as unfinished as it was not, you know, that was not necessarily representative of you know, where that game was. It probably was, you know, less finished in other parts of, you know, other areas. So I guess I say that, and Stain actually addresses that. He says it's a waste of time for us to do that. Right now, we need everybody doing bug fixes, and you know, they're in that stage where they're optimizing, bug fixing, and they're not adding new features, they're not adding new content. So that aspect, I guess, from that standpoint, when you consider that, for me at least, and I know everybody might perceive this differently, but I look at it. It gives me a little bit confidence in that more confidence in that they are confident with the game design, the structure of it, the progression of it. That is all set in stone. From a gameplay standpoint, not much is going to change. Like they're not going to make the game play better or progress better,
Right.
or so when they decided on this December 8th date, they decided on that knowing that that the game for all intents and purposes is done. It's just that they now are going through it's not done because they got a bug fixed, and the game probably is not running as well as it hopefully will be running on December 8th. So this is now
and we all know this is Xbox, and this is 343. And if there's like a single mistake that is visible and recordable, it's over.
Oh, wait a minute. Not even if if there's a mistake. If they're doing something
a bug,
like Halo 4 did, where the background characters are running at 30 frames per second and the foreground is running at 60. Somebody's gonna point
exactly.
So yeah. I mean,
all this is just they're gonna go in so hard on all this. So, Everborn, you have something?
One other thing to note, because another part of the talk in the community is like, if it's coming in hot, what were they going to show us last year? And people keep asking me that question, and I keep saying it doesn't effing matter what they were going to show last year, because they made the decision not what they were going to release last year, because they made the decision not to do it, right? Like, and I think we keep forgetting that the delaying it was the right thing. And delaying the co-op and Forge mode, if it's not ready, is the right thing. And why?
The only pushback I'll give you on that, Everborn, just a little bit of pushback on that, is the idea, and I know that people are using it for trolling. I'm not with them, but my idea, the reason why I can see a little bit of where they're coming from is the idea that it took us yelling to stop you from releasing this thing.
You know what I think? I don't think it ever was coming out last year.
I sure about that?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think they were using it to push console sales the same way that Sony said Gears of War, God of War was this
console sales. Okay.
What were they showing?
So you're saying that they were trying to be slick with, hey, look at this game. It's on the box of the Series X, but we're not releasing it as a launch console.
The God of War was on the box of the PS4 Pro like a year before it ever showed up. It's marketing. It's great marketing.
Right. No, you're right. Okay.
I think why they showed that demo last year makes. I mean,
to solidify their idea that we're not releasing it. Let's make sure that they feel the same way we do.
See, I look at it a little bit different. I think it was more like the developers told business like, this is not ready. Business is like, you guys had X amount of time, and we gave you all the resources you need, so it needs to come out. And they were like, no. And then they showed it, and then the developers were like, see. And then that got the attention of who it needed to take. Now, but that being said, I don't think it's in. A lot of people say, oh, it's something wrong with management and business, and there are management issues. But anybody who is in the software development business, if the business says, I'm going to give you the budget that you asked for, I'm going to give you all the resources you need, and then you're not ready, right? And then they say, well, okay, you're not ready. I'm going to give you another year. And then you say it's still not ready.
It dries up at some point.
But some features are ready and some are coming later on. Like the business.
You're botting a little bit, sir. A little bit of botting.
You asked for.
Ooh, you're botting a little. We didn't catch that.
Out of bounds, roll out.
Yeah, unfortunate. Sorry, bro. Maybe you want to get to a more stable connection. We didn't catch that last part. Oh, he's on mute. But okay, we'll continue. Go ahead, OBM.
No, I was gonna just back up Pixel G a little bit, because I heard Jez say the same thing actually from Windows Central, and actually there was rumblings that, again, I don't want to say rumors
that it might be pushed, and they were kind of debating internally.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to make rumors into, because I'm not trying to. Of
course, yeah. This is all rumor and speculation. We all know it. That's right.
But I had heard similar things, or like at least that they weren't sure. Like they knew it was trouble, right? They knew they were behind. They were still going for it. Oh, here comes SloMo.
Slanderous, like SloMo. What are you doing? Stop it.
Everborn Prime on the panel. But yeah, so like I know that the community wants to take credit, that they think that just because they yelled about Craig that it got delayed. I don't think that would have been a factor if they thought they could have had it ready. I think that's maybe us like wanting to some of our community wanting to give ourselves some credit on that thing.
Yeah.
But like I said, there was a lot of smoke that was going to happen regardless. I think that they were hoping that somehow they're going to pull off a miracle, because like I said, sometimes things do come together late. But I think with COVID and everything, they kind of realized it. But going into E3, I think they knew and they should have said something then.
Yeah.
But I think you're right that they thought that this would help.
They really. Go ahead.
I'd like to make one point to SloMo's point. In terms of damaging themselves, right? Damaging the brand. What was more damaging? Them lying, or whatever they were doing about it, or them showing that demo? I mean, this is Halo.
That's
right?
my
It's
point.
the most
100%.
important game of that the entire brand has. So they knew that demo looked bad. I mean, come on. I mean, it looked like it played fun, but it's broken all over the place. So
to your point, Pixel, I think that Sony could get away with something like this. Xbox can't.
They
can't put their business out there like that unless it's 100% complete. So a tangentially side related conversation. Sure. I was lucky enough to be part of the Xbox Game Fest meet and greet. So I got to yesterday. I actually got to sit just for a few minutes. Got to sit and chat with Pete Hines and Aaron Greenberg and a few other fans. We got to ask questions, and I actually asked this question. And it was basically remember the tweet I put out about Halo having so many badass black characters and all that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I asked them, when their news comes out or when they're ready to release news, right? Do they have like an intern somewhere who's on the gaming Twitter streets just like keeping an eye out, or do they get bowled over by this stuff themselves? And the only place that they gave me a bit of nugget of information was saying that they sometimes miscalculate how big of a story it gets, but they definitely know exactly what you're going to expect when they release it. So to that point, I'm with you, Pixel. Why the hell, if you knew, sure, tumultuous back and forth in internal studios, right? Oh, this shouldn't be released. Maybe it should, but Halo is it's the crown jewel. You don't just throw out an experiment and see how it sticks. Like, this is Halo we're talking about.
Everyone knows. I mean, when you show an application to your stakeholders, right, and it's like right before release, right? You're a month or two out from release. Things are going to QA. It's the first time they're seeing it, and that application is broken. You're going to get a no-go, right? It's not like they're not going to just say, "Oh, okay, I think you guys can fix it." No, they're going to say it's like you can't fix it. You can't fix it in time. So
it's somebody surprising to me that it was aired out like dirty laundry like that. It was aired out
very
like
surprising.
That.
And then they're like, "Oh, it's a 2-month-old bill." I mean, there was a lot of excuses going around in the community, but I mean, all that to say, we're getting away from the topic a little bit. But I think it's important to note that someone along the line had to understand that game was not coming out. Yeah. So I don't really worry about what it would have been last year. This is the year. This year is coming out. We know what's going to be available. We know what's not going to be available. I think we should focus on the topic at hand, right? So let's debate about what they're not having about if co-op
versus what that's right. That's right. SloMo makes a good point. Yeah. PlayStation has also done something similar. Although I will say when they showed off Days Gone, I didn't think it was like mediocre. I just didn't think it was a game that I would like. I was like, oh, it looked decent. It looked pretty together. It just didn't look like something that spoke to me, biker gang, all of that, right?
But I was just kind of like, okay, fixed. It was frame.
Yeah, it looked fine. It had a bit of frame rate.
Yeah, that's right. It was. I could see they showed it with frame issues and clouds disappearing, and the background looking like plastic. Like that's not what they showed.
But okay,
right? But
you're absolutely right. Let's get back to the topic. Oh, Everborn, please. You were saying? Go ahead.
So the thing that I was saying, how much did you guys catch of what I said?
I'd say 5%. Repeat, please.
Okay. I was saying, like, I understand, like, that there are management issues and changes have been made, and I agree with SloMo that I think in the background, Bonnie Ross is out of there as soon as they fully get this thing out the door.
Post-mortem, baby. Let's do it.
It won't be, but the business is the stakeholders are well within their rights to say, We gave you 5 years and 500 million, and now we gave you another year that this thing has to come out. Now that's not my problem as a gamer, but a lot of people was like, oh, business doesn't know what they're doing, this, that, and the third. But you tell me any software company you work for, if they say we're going to give you unlimited resources, and I know throwing resources at a software problem that's not going to fix it. However, you said you needed time. We gave you time. We brought in support studios for you. The thing needs to come out. And I don't think that business saying it has to come out right now is unrealistic. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense. I'm just looking at it.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
I know a lot of people are saying they're being forced to put it out now.
No. From a business perspective, it makes perfect sense. You're absolutely right. And to your point, when that game releases, that 500 million will not be on screen because there's just so much of it that was put to other purposes, right? But that will dog it. It'll be part of the narrative moving forward. This is a $500 million game, even though it doesn't necessarily look that way. You know what I'm saying? Engine did this.
Any of that
That's right. That's right. And no one really has the receipt. They'll look at the screen and say exactly that. Look at what they did with $500 million. And
well, I mean, we don't know that number's
real. We don't know for sure. I mean, no.
So
remember, Destiny had some crazy numbers thrown out. Like a lot of times, that those budget, even if that was the budget, it probably was over the 10-year or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Before the engine change and all the other Michigas in the middle, you don't know. It's just unfortunately because of the way it's played out so far. This game the content has to be so meticulous. It has to be so, because if it's not, oh boy, they're gonna drag 343 through the mud. And I personally feel that is not deserved. Yes, they've had issues in the past. Yes, there's been a lot of that, but they take big swings. And one thing that I want to make clear, and I've said this on other shows, and I'll say it here too, that I say that we need to give them cut them a bit of slack, because first off, they've had Halo longer than 343 has, than Bungie has, right? But one key factor that again no one ever puts into the equation, y'all keep, and y'all, when I say y'all, I mean us as the Halo fan base, keep wanting them to make someone else's game. Bungie can just do whatever they want because it's their idea. They just strike. 343 has to strike like Bungie. Oh, it has to feel like Bungie. It always, you never get to be you. You have to speak with their voice. And that is double hard, man. They are super talented. They go left with Halo 4, make it totally personal. People go, the story was great. Multiplayer, trash. They go right where it's more multiplayer and, oh, the multiplayer was great. The story, they can't seem to catch a break because it's not their IP.
But and the IP have that same issue?
Not necessarily, because the Coalition, I think the difference, and this is just my speculation, but I think the difference between the Coalition and 343 is that there's more Gears DNA in the Coalition than there was in 343. Yes, Statham has come back. Yes, there are a bunch of folks that used to work there, that used to work at Bungie that work there now. But I feel like the Coalition was more an offshoot of Unreal, because they are Unreal masters. They always have been, right? So I feel like they kind of got what was being said way back when, whereas 343 is still to this day trying to catch up. Oh, well, were you guys like this? Were you guys like that? Like, it's tough, man.
The big difference between 343 and Coalition is that Halo is, it's just a complete, it's a different
much bigger
monster.
Franchise.
Yeah, people have nostalgia tied to it.
I was trying.
It's the no. You're right though. I mean that is probably a little piece of it. I think Coalition was smart that their first release after Gears 3 was a very Gears-ish game, and probably in Gears 5 was probably too much of a Gears
safe game. Very safe.
Too safe. Yeah. I mean, they played it safe to make sure they gained that credibility, and I think 343 didn't do that. They took it and they tried to take it in their own direction. But you bring up some.
But OBM, I'm sorry. Like, Halo 4 was one of the best Halo stories.
It was great.
No question about it.
Like they humanized Chief in a way that Bungie never did. And I know people keep trying to sort of chase Bungie, but I don't think Bungie's has lived up to Halo 3 yet. Destiny's great, but it's not the same kind of thing that
That's
Halo
right.
3 was, right?
That's
So
true.
it's like you're chasing ghosts, and I
Yes.
think
This
this
is my
problem
point.
is they're too data driven and they look at these things too much. And I think they had the right instincts with Halo 4. I think they were onto something with the Halo 5 story, but it didn't land the way it should have landed. And once they stop I hate to say this, but once they stop listening to us and just do what they're gonna do, that's the only way. They kind of have to go through that pain. And Pixel, you're right. Halo has always
Oh
been
my
this.
goodness.
It's just that
Yeah.
it's just
Dumpster juice, huh?
Twitter
All
makes
right.
it worse.
You know,
See,
I like that.
Slow-Mo
I
knows.
agree.
Slow-Mo knows
Slow-Mo
that they
knows.
never that even Bungie hasn't lived up to
Oh
Bungie.
man.
So why should
Yeah.
343 have to live up to them?
No,
You know
I
what I
hear you.
mean?
And that's the thing. I think that you're absolutely right. I feel like the mythic idea of Bungie has kind of dogged them for so long. And that mythic idea has been what's inside the head of the hardcore Halo fan. And 343 has been chasing that for so long. Even Bungie themselves can't admit
But the
to that
hardcore Halo
hype.
fan doesn't know what they want. The hardcore Halo fan don't know if they want running or jetpacks or all these things.
No,
They're
no.
like,
The
Mhm.
make it
problem is
different, but make it the
there are
same.
different brands of hardcore Halo fans, right? You got the multiplayer faction, you got the single player faction, you got the faction that single player, multiplayer plus read the books, right? There's different levels of this,
Yeah.
right? I don't respect
I'm a
you if you don't
single
read
player
the books.
plus read the books.
So that's
I'm a
just
single
me,
player
right?
plus read.
Yeah,
that's just
I'm a single player. I read the books, but I play some
Yes.
multiplayer. But to
Yeah.
me, those are the real fans. It depends, right? There's a bunch of factions, and they need to appease all those factions. So
They
I
do.
think what we
Yeah.
should be asking ourselves is, you know, if you take all of the things they've shown to date, right, from the initial intro to the failed show last year to the shows that they have this year, in total, I think they've shown better than worse, right? I
Yeah,
think
I agree.
what they're shown, at least to me, gives me promise that the story beats look like they're going to be great.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The tie-ins to the books are really good. I mean, the characters they're bringing in seem like they're good. The writing seems good. The gameplay we saw looked good.
The Agrena right here, the Agrena multiplayer season 1 announcement. Even though yes, it's a multiplayer, yes, it's just a cutscene, but it really speaks. It really it's filled with the Halo lore. Seeing London under siege, all this stuff, people just, feels. It's great. I can't wait to see. I hope they don't do what people tend to do, which is, oh, here's your cutscene that justifies your playing. Now go play. Develop the story a bit. Add more to it. I hope that's where we go with it. OBM, you were saying?
Yeah, so I actually want to jump in on both Everborn and Pixel G's points.
Please, yes.
You bring up some good topics, and I don't think this is necessarily about lowering the bar for 343. I think the developers know when they start at 343, there's high expectations. This is the Mario for Xbox. This is the face of the franchise, so they know that they're getting into. But I do think it's worth calling out that the thing that 343 has been asked to deliver, like the deliverable here, is not the same deliverable from back in the day. The expectations, the scope of the project are much larger. Like right now, they're not building a game; they're building a platform.
Right.
This is the foundation of everything that needs to sustain this game for the next 10 years. Like this isn't just like an investment in if we don't get this game right, then we'll try to get it on the next one, or we maybe we fall a little bit short in our in our financials or something like that. This is an investment that whatever they're building, whatever releases now, or whatever comes out for their campaign, their co-op, their multiplayer, their Forge, these are all going to be the foundational pieces that everything else needs to get built upon for the next 10 years. And so a lot of people, and I think that's something that maybe gets missed in this. And yes, they did have to pull in two bases. There is if you go to the Waypoint sites, there's a infighting. There's a civil war between the Halo bases that and I know like both sides say, oh, you need to stop listening to the other side and choose. I actually wrote an article on this after the tech test that I felt that you're never going to make both sides 100% happy, but I felt like they were able to merge from a pure gameplay / nostalgia / art stuff. They were able to merge the two bases probably as well as you could have. the way they kind of the way they did things. And again, there's still little complaints here and there, but I think if you're and I even said going into this, I says you're going to lose part of it anyways. Just go all in one way or the other, because if you go in the middle, you'll lose both, right? That's usually what happens when you try to do that middle of the road thing. You get hit by cars on both sides. You don't make anybody happy. They seem like they got, I don't know, like 80% of
They're trying to thread the needle on both sides. Yeah.
And they seem to do it probably better than I thought possible. And I was listening to the content creators that were like the no sprint camp. I was listening to the people that are more on the modern side of things. And like you still have some people that, that don't like this thing or that. But overall, I was shocked by how much they brought the bases together. So, and this ties into the other aspect of it, what Pixel G is saying. I understand the anxiety. I understand they're obviously behind. We can't deny that, right? So there's obviously been challenges. We know that stuff. But what we've actually been given, you take that stuff out of the equation. Like take out the fact that they're not ready to show it at Gamescom, 3 months before because they want to do bug fixing, all the anxiety that comes with that kind of stuff. And you just go by what they've shown. Last year, what they showed was what they really wanted to demonstrate, by the way, last year is if you guys were following a lot of the
slanders, man. You got to stop it. Slow-mo, you got to cut it out. Like, cut it out. I know Everborn is not in 100% like full effect.
My God.
But man, you're taking it to the next level today, my boy. Come on.
I love the energy.
That's amazing.
I'm not going to go.
Wow,
SloMo is absolutely right.
Oh, of course he is. Of course he is.
I endorse this message.
Oh my goodness! All right, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go.
They are insane, but for different reasons. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh goodness gracious.
So something I want to bring to light is, as somebody that was who was part of the toxic community on Waypoint over the last few years, one of the things we kept yelling at them about from a campaign standpoint is like, first of all, the campaign in 5, despite even beyond the story, which was a mess, that game. That game was balanced around multiplayer. It's like almost like that was like a co-op game that had a single player mode to it. And when you played it in single player, it was almost broken because your AI didn't do anything. It's like you were basically playing Call of Duty stop and pop, on Legendary because your AI, was they
didn't help you at all. They didn't help you at all.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah.
And we complain about the fact it wasn't wide enough. Like Halo CE how come Halo 5 has less variables? It's less dynamic than Halo CE was, which came out 15 years before Halo 5. Like these are the things that the pushback for the campaign. And so last year in 2020, the July demo, when they showed that, they were really, if you pay attention to how they really focused that demo, it was talking to that base. It was like, hey, look this is a wide environment. You can do different things. It's more dynamic. And and look at this. This game is balanced. We're showing it in single player. There's nobody else around you. We're not even showing you Marines right now. Like they really wanted to focus on the fact that they were listening because they were listening to whether you think they listened too much or not. That's another topic. But they are listening.
That's for sure. Yep.
And most people said, yes, the graphics were like, why'd you show it those graphics? But the gameplay looked good.
Most people,
it was tight. Most people said. And then you play the demo, the tech demo, and it's like, what did most people say after that? The gameplay, the
was tight.
The movement, the gunplay, the physics. Like everybody, once you got your hands on the grapple shot, it's like, oh, like this is different than like I didn't know that this was going to when I saw it in last year in the 2020 thing, I was like, okay, I've seen this before in Titanfall and other games, but this is not the same thing. Like this is physics based. You can hit any sort of part of the environment. You can aim it at parts of the environment.
You see folks were like using it to grab guns from far away ledges to use it. So it adds so much flexibility to the environment. Yeah, very true.
Now you're playing this demo from last year. Now, watch this thing again with the kind of knowledge you have, and you've seen the AI, right? Like how the AI is a lot more dynamic, and that was a problem in 5. 5's AI was worse than Bungie's for some reason. I don't know what happened there. But you look at these factors, and now I look at these environments differently. Like last year's demo, when you watch it over and over again, now you start to see, okay, well, the Warthog has more physics, and then you look at the multiplayer review that showed all these vehicles had more physics, and now you start to go like, oh, well, if I was playing this and this is like on Legendary, and if these things were like more, the AI was more aggressive and maybe trying to flank me and things like that, like maybe I take out this elite and I try to grapple his gun from behind something. You start thinking about this stuff differently. And I would argue with most people that say, hey, we don't know anything.
Oh, we know plenty.
The core gameplay of Halo CE, or Halo, any of the great Halo campaigns, is that sandbox. It is the 30 seconds. If you listen to any of the content creators that are hardcore into what makes it still stand out, why can we still play the campaigns after all these years and it's still good? It is all about
moment to moment gameplay. I've been playing it for years. Moment to moment gameplay. It's still great. It's still fantastic. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. I would argue there we know more about the core element of Halo's gameplay than we do about most AAA games at this point in time. We have those factors. Now, we don't know how it progresses. I don't know how the graphics are. I don't really care if they get ray tracing in, but they promise that, and I know that's going to be something people are looking for. We don't know how the story is. We don't know if it ends.
Yeah,
if it ends
I say they don't. I say they don't get it in.
Let's see if I can do this while y'all talking. I'm sorry. Continue. I'm gonna see if I can find Craig. I'm looking for Craig. Go ahead.
But yeah, it like we don't. There's a lot of things we do not know, and I acknowledge that aspect of it. But the core element, the thing that's going to make it hold up, the things that future content is going to be built on, the foundation to me.
There you go. Sorry, forgive me. I had to do it.
That's an even better look, I feel like.
Even better. Forgive me. Let's get Go ahead.
Oh, man.
Had to do it. I'm sorry.
He kind of looks like me. What's going on there?
No, he needs a beard. What you talking about? Stop it. What are you talking about?
Just need some beard.
Yes. No, they've come a long way, though. Even in this trailer, even here, you could see the dynamics of the gameplay, the grapple shot use, and
I thought it was.
Go ahead, please.
Go ahead, sorry. No, I'm just going to say, like, at the end of the day, like, when we've been given enough information that as a Halo fan, I understand the anxiety, and I understand people that are very disappointed about modes missing. I have friends that are Forge and co-op guys that are very disappointed. I understand that aspect of it, and people are allowed to be, negative or constructively criticize it. But I also believe the people that are being positive because of what they're really focused on, which is the core gameplay loop of Halo, and that is the thing we've been yelling at 343 to get right. Even 4, like, I understand people like the story, but I don't feel like
it didn't often feel like Halo. I mean, the characters, sometimes it just didn't feel like Halo, right?
I played it again recently, doing my Legendary run through everything, and it's like I still feel like from a moment to moment standpoint, Bungie's were more fun. This is the first time I think 343's nailed it, and that's what I'm really excited about, and that's why some fans are still excited. It's not being 343 apologists, corporate, fanboy, apologists and things like that. We've been toxically yelling at them on their forums for years about this stuff, and they've nailed it. And so I'm excited about that, and I do get it. If it comes out and the campaign is short, or if it has a cliffhanger ending, they're going to get it. They're probably going to get it no matter what.
They're going to get it anyway.
Oh yeah, they're going to get it no matter what. That's for sure.
For me,
I know that, but I'm good now because I know that long term, they have the things, and over time, we know that whatever we get on day one is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, it's going to evolve. It's going to get better. Obviously, they're not going to let it sit. It's a platform now. We know this. They are literally building. They just like Fortnite built this single player and then ended up only living in the multiplayer. Same thing here. They at least know that they're building the platform. They're starting from that,
right.
And that's why a lot of the equations have changed, including co-op campaigns not being there at jump, which
Hey, let me
again, like you said,
quick.
Go ahead, Everboard.
Because I got to run now.
Go ahead. No,
this is to BM's point. Like, if you weren't with me shooting in the gym, beta testing Halo Master Chief Collection, don't say to me that, like, this is just about Xbox support or whatever. Like, we have been here arguing with 343 since the beginning, right? These are people that care about it. So,
Yes.
I will never be dismissive of anybody who is not happy about the co-op thing or the trailer thing, but don't be dismissive of me because I'm still optimistic about the thing, right?
Yeah.
If it comes out and it's not good and you hear me apologizing, then
We'll be yelling at him again.
this is what I'm
Then the
saying.
slander will be warranted. I hear
Right.
you. I hear
So
you.
like
I
I
hear
said, they wasn't with us shooting in the gym. If you catch my
Yes,
meaning.
they weren't part of the Beta Boys crew.
Easy.
I get you.
Easy. But anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. I'll be listening in the background.
Hope you feel much better, bro. Thank you.
Yeah,
I hope
you
you
feel better, bro.
Everyone, good to hear from you, man.
All right.
So yes, real quick, I know that we like, let's just at least get this out of the way. You know, the missing features, right? The missing features that are there, with the idea that you're not getting that disc that has single player and multiplayer, and you're done. That's not where we are. This is not Halo 4, not 3, not 2, not 1. This is a whole different thing, right? And because of that, the co-op campaign has to be delayed, and so has Forge been delayed, right? It was a difficult thing. I'm of two minds of it. Those who are really upset about it, I think y'all are doing a little too much. Who are like, livid, delay the whole thing. Y'all are doing
strong
too much.
2%.
Yeah. Y'all are doing too much. If it's broken, I'm there with you. Delay it, because a broken game should not be released.
Right.
But if it's missing something, because they feel like the resources are better spent elsewhere for now, while they sort out the rest, I say do it. Make sure that when you release it, it's perfect. But do that. Release what you can, and then release the other ones later, because And we've gone around this conversation, but it seems that's where I say the transparency of 343 and Xbox as a whole sometimes bites them in the butt. Most people didn't know that Ghost of Tsushima started as a multiplayer and single player game together. They decided this exact same decision and then decided to delay the multiplayer. Y'all never knew that. You came, you played the single player. It was awesome. I still say it is awesome. And then the multiplayer just became a happy surprise for you. You know what I'm saying? Even though, had you known, and I know we're not complaining Halo to Ghosts, I'm just complaining as a basis, how they disseminated the information, I think is what's led people to being a bit taken aback, and it's given the console warriors bullets for their guns and all of that. You know what I mean? Long story short, though, those who care, I suspect by the time the game comes out, let's be real. Like Pixel has said, we're all going to be playing this thing day one. You're going to be disappointed. You're not going to play with your son or your family or whatever.
And I'm a co-op
but you'll get back to it. Yeah. And as am I.
I play with my sons. So,
great. That's awesome.
That's always the plan, to play with my sons. So, but I'm still going to play that single player regardless. Exactly. And when it launches, you play it yourself. You have a good time. Doesn't mean that it comes and goes away and you'll never get to play it again. Then by the time that co-op is released, presumably it has all the reasons that they causing this delay will have been resolved, right? So I think that yes, a bit of understanding is warranted there, but people just need to relax. It's all right. It's gonna be all right. I think we're all gonna be fine.
SloMo don't agree.
We're gonna play it again. I mean, we're gonna just wind up playing it again, right? I'll play single player the first day, and then when the multiplayer co-op mode comes out, I'll play it again with my sons. I mean, that's just how it's going to work.
Bro, how many years has it been since Halo 2 and 3 has been released? I'm still in the middle of that cross-play in the Halo
Master
Chief Collection.
It's massive,
It's massive, and I keep going, and then I'll play a while, I'll be on my phone, and then 2-3 months later, I'll jump back in and continue on the PC or someplace else. This will join that. I'm actually hoping, as a quick aside, that they somehow add Halo 5 into the Master Chief Collection, so you can have it all as one big old story. That'd be really awesome. Oh, here we go.
If you don't want to feel the pain,
then you better delay the game.
Yeah.
Oh no, SloMo
sure,
missed the T. He missed the T now.
Then he commends himself by going bars. But all right. So we're gonna wind down a bit of the Halo talk because we've been going at it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Is there anything from the Halo perspective, and I'll start with you, OBM, that you saw that folks aren't talking about, some positives or negatives that have been missed during this discourse? Because it seems like people are very focused. Oh, the date. Yes, it came out. It's coming out a bit later than we suspected it would. It will miss both the 20th anniversary, which is weird, and it'll miss the Keeleys, which is also kind of a thing. And I think it actually falls in line with there's rumor and speculation that maybe they're doing something with Bungie cross talk with Destiny armor or whatever. They didn't really speak to it, but since the dates align so much with Bungie stuff, that's what people are thinking about now. What do you think of the dates? What do you think of the what they have now finally dropped on us? Because at this point now it's just waiting for the game. At this point, right? Maybe we'll get like a campaign trailer officially before the closer release. But what they've dropped on us now is what we're supposed to just move forward with. What do you think about that, over here?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to do the November 15th thing, but I mean, again, ideal world, it would have been nice that you had the full suite of things that people have with their day one experience there, but on November 15th. But that dream's dead, so we just move on. And
the dream is dead.
That dream is dead. So at this point, it really doesn't matter because you're not getting that. You're not going to necessarily, you weren't able to capture that moment. The most important thing is that they are going to release it this year. They're going to release something this year. And so giving them as much time as possible to bug fix, polish, make sure that this game doesn't come out. Because to me, that would be the worst thing. Worse than the co-op not being there would be a game that comes out that's buggy
and broken. Oh my God, kiss of death. It'd be over.
It cannot. It cannot. Yep. And I will say that if they feel like there's if it's not top of the line polish, that's when they need to consider.
They should delay it again.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would have no problem saying that. But but now that you are already in this environment, we I just think that absolutely making sure whatever is released is as polished as possible. And I think that really that December 8th is probably pushing it as late as you can release it and still be in time for Christmas stuff. So and it's not a bad thing either that you're getting a AAA game in December. Hopefully one that's not like Cyberpunk.
Is this one of the first real big AAA games to be released in December? I always thought December was not the date you release big, huge games like this.
Smash Brothers came out. Super Smash Brothers came out then. Cyberpunk last year. And I think Rainbow Six 3. But not a lot. But hopefully
it's unusual.
Yeah, hopefully it becomes a trend because, I think with the digital stuff, it's not as important that games come out.
Yeah, no, completely. We're not in the box copies going to the store world anymore. Yeah. You can release that thing whenever you want. I just think it's notable that usually big AAA games have tried to avoid December for some reason, and this is the first time it's just like, hey, we're releasing it in December, no big deal. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it. It's my birthday, baby. My birthday's in December. Oh. I'm getting the Halo Infinite.
Mine's is in November, so it's just gonna miss mine.
It's good. Just miss. Well, you won't have to wait too long. You have to wait too long.
Not too long. Yep.
Yeah. So what about you, there, Pixel? What do you think of the dates? What do you think of the fact that it's gonna miss these notable events? Is it to their benefit? Is it to their detriment? What do you think?
I mean, the date thing is a nice to have, right? We all the fans wanted it. It'd have been cool. It was a Monday. It was a weird date anyway. So I'm not sure if it impacts them one way or the other, right? People care more about getting the game. So if the game is good, none of that stuff is going to matter. It's still the anniversary year, so yay for Halo, right? It doesn't really matter. In terms of the what was the other question?
I asked you in addition to its release date, and how do you feel about, like, they released it in December 8th, and it's obviously gonna be missing certain features, but this is the play. This is like, it's all said and done now. Yeah. After this, you may see like a campaign trailer, showing you a bit more of that. But that's about it. Is this a good enough like thing to convince you, the hardcore and the general public? Oh yeah, December 8th, they did it right. We're ready to go, or is there cause for concern in your opinion?
I'm not concerned. I mean, it's
okay.
They're choosing a good date. I think you get rid of the features that you don't need, or not that you don't need, but aren't working. Like OBM said, the key is polish, right? The only concern for releasing in December is you got Christmas coming, 2-3 weeks later. You're gonna have a big influx of gamers on your network, and making sure that the system, your networks don't blow up.
Because stop that tradition of every Christmas day being the console being offline. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, because the consoles are limited, that may help a little bit, but this will also be available on Xbox One. So that means that whatever players are out there will be able to get on. So I mean, as long as they're able to manage their servers during that time frame, it should be fine. I mean, for me, the key is going to be the polish. As long as I'm playing a game that reminds me of the second board of Halo CE and what's that? Tasava
this does
Highway.
like what you're playing. What you're playing right now, right here. This gives me that Halo CE vibe very strongly. Yep, very strongly.
And Tasava Highway, where you got that open space, and then you get those big spans of fighting sections with brutes. Like that's all I want out of Halo. I don't really care about anything else. As long as they give me that gameplay, I'm good. So I think they're going to be in a good space.
You think they should bring back Locke at some point? Because this is a continued campaign story.
I love Locke. Give me a Locke mission. I love
I mean, okay, to a broader extent, the Team Osiris, bring him back.
The whole
because this isn't a prequel, right? This should continue 5. We should see where their story ends.
As long as, even if Locke is no longer with us, I would like to see what happened to him. Right?
What happened to him? That's right. Yeah.
Like there's a I'm not sure the number of years that are between Halo 5 and this game.
4 and 5. Yeah.
Because like it's kind of back and forth with the number of years, but the books seem like it's a pretty long time. We know Cortana's still in play, right? She's still ruling the galaxy at this point.
She's still out there. Yep.
And we don't know what her involvement is going to be with this game, right? But we know that the other Spartans were either on the ship or near. All right, in this time frame, I want to see what happened to those Spartans. Yeah. So give me. I
really do. I hope you're right. I hope they don't just forget all the storyline that was there because people didn't like it. Finish it up. Bring them back. Do them justice. They've been doing really good character work for a long time. Those that didn't like it, I kind of get it because they kind of shoehorned him in. It kind of gave me the vibes of remember when Metal Gear released and you didn't know you weren't going to be playing, and then all of a sudden you played. Yes, right. Raiden. That's the vibe it gave me, and that's with Raiden. And that's why I'm like, I get why people have a problem with Locke because they kind of Raidened him, if you will. Yeah. But they need to give him like his own due. That team needs their own due. I suspect.
Yeah, I agree, but I think at least based on the last blog they had, it seems like what they're going to do with expansions later on is use your multiplayer character. I'm not sure if they're going to use it only for expansion missions on the multiplayer side, but it sounds like you may get some single player action with.
I hope so.
Characters.
I hope so because as we've said, I tend to be more single player focused. I jump into multiplayer here and there, but I've said this multiple times on multiple shows. I'm tired of tweens speaking slurs at me while I'm trying to play a game, so I just don't multiplayer. Right. It's just I just don't do it. I'm sorry. It's just I got sick and tired of that. So for the people like me, I will buy additional content. Fill the story out. There's so much Halo lore. I mean, I have the books. Give me some of that lore. I will continually gladly pay for additional story content, even if I don't play the multiplayer, so I'm hoping they take it there. They did say it's a platform, so
it's a 10-year plan, right? So that's right. 10 years should include
much like Destiny, they did the same kind of thing.
Yeah, but I want single player content in that 10 years.
Me too.
Not just multiplayer raids and stuff. Yeah, give me single player content. So
100%. So yes, I think we've exhausted the Halo conversation because there's still going to be a lot more to talk about. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Much. Like in a couple of days, they'll probably release a trailer or something will happen, and space is gonna explode again and all that. But for now, I'm happy with where we are with Halo. Me personally, I'm looking forward to December 8th. I'm looking forward to seeing what they have to offer. I wish you like this thing. When you start this video, at the beginning of this video, it says Halo demo. Start demo.
Yeah,
I wish they had released that.
Yeah, I know. That'd have been.
But that's neither here nor there. Right in the beginning, right now, just release this demo. We shall see. But okay, we can move along. Like before we close up, and we're rounding on 2 hours. I think this will be a good round number to end it on. But before we do, I do want to at least before we go drop a few nuggets here and there of games that we may have saw at Gamescom that may not have gotten all that attention, but might want some additional attention. People like you were talking about the Shinobi game. You were a really big fan of OBM. Pixel, did you spend any time watching the Gamescom as it were, whether it be the Keeley parts or like I know that IGN did like a 3-day stream and there was a bunch of gameplay things in there that I need to go back and catch up on that. But what did you see anything that was special to you?
No, actually, OBM called out the games that I really was interested in. Like those, I'm definitely playing those. So a lot of the games in the Humble Bundle. That Shinobi looking game looks crazy. There's like a I guess an isometric fighting beat 'em up game that they have coming out. I didn't catch the name of it. That looked really great. Is it called what is it? Midnight. This right here. This one,
this is what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to bring this up.
Sick. That looks sick. Yes, man.
The evolution of Double Dragon, I call it.
Yeah,
this is great.
Oh yeah, see that? That's just. Crazy.
I'm looking forward to it.
So this is going to be their answer to Sifu, right? So you're going to have one kung fu game with this kind of style, and then you'll have this game. So yeah, this looks great.
I also saw another game. I don't know its title. I don't know its name. Forgive me. It was a game that literally looked like a indie version of Ghost of Tsushima, black and white. Pixel, like not pixel art. It looked like Ghost of Tsushima. It really did.
Show that at the prior show like a couple of months ago. It was a black and white, right? It's a black and white game, right? I saw it during Gamescom, but it basically the whole game is Kurosawa mode, if you will, the whole game, and it gives you that it's a side view instead of the full 3D that you get with Ghosts. But it was also very interesting, very intriguing, and of course this is going to be multi-platform, so it's going to be everywhere. I should hunt down. That's the problem with these things; they come so quick and heavy in their little indie showcase things that you kind of lose the thread, and you have to really hunt them down. Actually, so I like that one. Go ahead, one thing that Microsoft announced that I thought was really interesting is that Evil Genius 2 is coming to Xbox.
Yes.
I mean, I'm an old school Evil Genius player from back in the day, and I picked it up for Steam. So I'm really surprised to see that game on Xbox. It's a dope game. But if you want to be, you want to be your little what's he like the bad guy with the henchman kind of deal going on there. I forgot what movie is that. What is that movie? Man.
With Mike Myers?
Yeah, with Mike Myers, yeah. You want to be a little version of him. Yeah, that game is perfect. So it's a good game.
Dr. Evil?
Yeah,
you can totally do that.
Evil. Yeah, it's a great game. Yeah.
And as you see here, we're showcasing the what is it? What's it called? Shredder? I forget the title, but it's the new TMNT game. They literally, I mean, they really like they pulled it straight out of my childhood, like straight out. I'm seeing Turtles in Time here. It is. I am so excited for this game. There's no reason for me to
work,
be.
Man.
It's so good.
Work. They're a great studio. They've been putting work with these 2D beat 'em up games. Really good. It's kind of resurgence of the genre. Plus, you got April's in there, so that's a must buy.
And they're fighting. The April's fighting now. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So that's also real cool. I saw this one. What's another game? I want to make sure we at least showcase a few of these before we close up. Oh, and this really weird one. Is it Doki V?
Oh yeah. Doki V.
This is so strange and so cool. I'm into it. I'm really into it.
It's like Jet Set Radio.
This is Sonic. So good.
It just looks crazy. Yeah, it's just weird. Yeah, but the graphics is so interesting.
Real photorealistic with weirdo cartoony aesthetic at the same time. I'm here for it. I can't wait to see if this becomes something because it's so interesting. Look at this thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know how the gameplay will be.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Did you see this?
I have no idea what's going on.
It just looks fun.
Amazing.
Yeah. Look at it. It's just insane with all the weirdness of it. It's just strange. But I'm thinking it will be a sleeper hit. Most folks won't recognize. They probably won't give it the credit it deserves. But it might become something. This might be a Game Pass type situation. You never know. You never know. So this is another one that if folks haven't seen it, you want to keep this on the radar. One last one. I wouldn't consider this AAA indie. because it is AAA. But what did y'all think of this weird Marvel game?
I'm in.
It's weird. I'm into it. Marvel Zombie from way back, but I'm in.
Well, here's the thing. Like XCOM 2, like if nobody's played.
Oh, I played
it,
XCOM. I loved
player.
it. Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
XCOM 2, War of the Chosen's one of my top 3 games the last generation. It got me back into the genre, actually. And this, I think at the end of the day, it's just that this developer is if you were ever going to take a superhero license and put it into that type of genre, this is the developer to do it. They made right now they have the game that's basically the bar.
I will say Gears Tactics gave it a good run for its money, but most people didn't give that a shot.
Gears Tactics was very good, but it's not on the same scale.
It's not on the same scale as XCOM. XCOM really took it there. Yes.
XCOM does a lot more with its characters, and they
brought back the genre based on just the XCOM franchise. They did a very good job.
And that's the question too, like, because Gears Tactics I thought was one of the most underrated games last year. I did enjoy it, but I put that like more as an 8, whereas XCOM is way up there. I'm wondering if they're going to do. And part of the thing that Gears Tactics missed that was really good in XCOM was all the base building stuff and building new weapons. So I wonder if they're going to bring some element of that to this game, or if they're going to keep it more simplified to bring in more casuals. So
I think you need that, and you also need what makes XCOM so good is the death, right? The permadeath. That's what makes it so good. And Gears,
you got to know Marvel characters.
I know that's my concern but that's part of the fun of the game, right? You build up a character, you get into a bad situation, you lose that character. It writes its own story, right? That's important.
You feel horrible about it.
You feel horrible about it. Like I just spent all this time with this guy, right? It's important to the game.
Continuing the tradition, another challenger has joined us. With Mr. Everborn's absence, we bring the slander levels to even higher levels. Mr. SloMoBackSlap.
Mr.
How you doing,
SloMoBackSlap.
If you don't want to feel the pain, you better delay the game.
All right.
What's up, man?
Thanks for joining us, man. Thanks for joining us.
I am being the laziest me that I can be today, man. I woke up so late. And when you got 3 kids, like how they allowed me to sleep to 10 is you need to tell me your secret, bro. You need to tell me. I have 2 and I can't sleep.
What are you putting in their milk, bro? Because we get about 5 or 6 around here.
Well, where did they put in my milk? Because I was like, it drugged me. I woke up like the sky don't look right. What's happening? Like, what? And they're like, hey, are you gonna cook breakfast, Dad? I'm like, what? Wait, what? Where are we at?
Where am I? Who, what? Where?
What is happening? So yeah, I'm a little behind the time.
No worries, man. We appreciate you jumping in here. Gracing us with your presence when our slander levels are a little lacking with the missing of Mr. Everborn.
I definitely gotta just add just a little bit, just a little bit of
spice,
toxicity,
yes.
Just a little bit.
I wouldn't say toxicity. Come on now. It's spice.
It's not toxic. It's spice. Yes. It's spice. But other people may feel it is. But
Yeah. So thank you for joining us. Real quick, going back to this thing I'm watching here. Okay. My question is not necessarily the gameplay, because I know they'll do great, but like it almost seems like, and this is me being presumptive because I haven't seen too much of it, but it's like while they're so big into getting people into their lore and their characters and how they interplay and all that, it seems they just gave these guys the ability to just pick characters from a crate and just put them in the game, which seems a little anti-MCU to me. I thought they'd, because this is good. Which is good. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's an unusual move. That right now, this Marvel allowing the use of Wolverine and next to the X-Men, next to the Iron Man, next to and they even allowed them to create a whole separate character. It's like this is an interesting Marvel, like very interesting Marvel. For a while, they weren't allowing this stuff. Nintendo got to make their little offshoot, but that's Nintendo. Nobody else got to play with these things like they did. Like you saw Square do it, and they were really much fit into a very limited frame, right? I dig what they do from a campaign perspective, but that multiplayer games as a service stuff they added to that game was not it, right? I'm thinking maybe that's what gave them the right to then go, hey, okay, you guys can add do what you want because our last attempt didn't work so well. But this is very weird and interesting, and I kind of wanted to bring it up and pick y'all brains on it and see, where it seems like it came out of nowhere, like, and it makes no sense for what they are currently doing.
Considering how game development normally goes, this game has probably been in development. It's supposed to come out next year. So this game has been in development for like 3 years. So like the levels of disappointment that Square Enix's Marvel's Avengers turned out to be wasn't. I think when this was approved, like that was still
made to be seen, remained to be
seen.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And I don't think this is going to be a big game that I think a lot of people were just excited to see all of these characters. They knew
I'll tell you, I was for sure.
And some older Marvel movies that aren't MCU all on the screen together. But these are the same people that say XCOM is boring. But this is Firaxis Games. This is what they do. So the game's not going to look like what you're seeing right now. This is nice, cool cinematic trailer.
Yeah.
This isn't how the game is going to play. So there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, man, I can't wait to play that Midnight Suns. That looks fire.
Yeah, this is not the game they're looking for. Yeah.
Right. And they show the game next month and they're like, oh, it's that kind of game. Okay, I'm done. But I love that kind of game. Like XCOM, Enemy Unknown, XCOM 2. I was all
Enemy Within. It was great. I really dug it. Yeah.
But and seeing this, I actually had an idea some years ago back on Brap. OBM, you may remember me saying this, that I wanted In Exile to make a New Mutants X-Force game in the style of RPG that they do and I wanted something similar to that is like because the way they do their combat is very similar to how Firaxis Games does XCOM combat. So that's what I was looking for. I was like, I would love to see that. If you have the New Mutants have a large roster, have had a large roster over the course of that series, and then going into X-Force, extends it a little bit further. You when you have that kind of combat where you don't have to animate these characters, with a ton of pixels on screen, it's that isometric view over top. It makes it a little bit easier for you to be able to not only add different characters, but then have them have very, very different abilities. I think back then I even said, hey, look, I would definitely take it in the story aspect, like Fire Emblem Three Houses, where you have you can actually build your team based off of the roster that's available.
Yeah, that would be dope.
Yeah,
and I was like, I would love to see something like that. And then we get this Marvel game where it's got the XCOM style of combat, and I'm just thinking about the possibilities that are there. Yeah.
It is exciting. It is exciting that they let this studio take this property in the direction that they want to take it in. I'm looking forward to seeing how this grows. I hope they put more
reveals in 3 days.
Oh yeah, there you go. So we'll get to see
4 days.
More of that.
Yeah.
I hope they put more campaign. I hope they put story mode. They put more of an emphasis in there as well, because MCU people like that. Marvel fans really love the details in between the stories. And that's where I kind of wasn't necessarily the happiest with. I'm forgetting the name of the game they released on Switch. I played that. I enjoyed it. But it's kind of like almost like generic cards being thrown in the deck. Oh, here's Spider-Man. Here's this character. Here's that character.
You mean
how they interplay? Ultimate Alliance 3.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy
how they interplay is kind of it's your choice. I kind of want the threads to really connect, as they have been doing a pretty good job in other aspects in this round of MCU and Marvelness. So I'm looking forward to checking it out. As you can see, I'm also showing, and I'll start from the top. I'm also showing the Saints Row reboot footage for folks to see. We also saw this. This will probably be the last one. We'll get out of here after this. So I've been keeping you guys here for too long, but yes. So folks are mixed on this. I think it's interesting. We'll see. I think they did everything they could with Saints Row. It got to they jumped the shark, and then the shark got on skateboards and started riding around. It was just too much. So they literally pulled it way back
over the top. Yeah, too far over the top.
Yeah, my favorite Saints Row was actually Saints Row 2.
Me too.
Right when they went, the first one was GTA clone. Second one was, okay, we'll continue being a GTA clone, but we'll do what GTA doesn't. We'll be ridiculously funny.
Right.
That was 2, and I loved it. And I'm a Keith David stan, so wherever he is, I am the arbiter forever. Anyway, but what do y'all think of this reboot, and why? Who should play Keith David? Because I think he should come back. What do you guys think of it? I'll start with you, Pixel. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't see a character here that can play Keith David.
I know, right? I know. I want Keith David
back. He doesn't fit
back.
any of these roles, but it's in terms of the gameplay. If they're going back to more of a 2 style, then I'm all for it. I don't care that they don't look like gangbangers. Like,
no.
I see some people saying that online. I'm like, what does that even mean? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a game, right? What does it mean?
They just took the name and they're taking it a different place. Why not?
Right.
You have all those other games that you can still play. Let's see where this goes, in my opinion.
I mean, they literally had them fighting aliens and nobody complained. So go back to the old style. Allow me to take over the city. I want to buy everything. I want to have all those little businesses running and stuff like that. That was the fun of the series, and then just keep the fun in there. I'm good with it. I'm definitely looking to play this out. When I saw it, I'm like, this looks great, but
it looks great. Yeah,
people find and complain,
and then continuing that tradition of putting more diverse faces on the screen, lots of different kinds. And some people did like it, some people do like it. I thought, hey, yes, it's 2021, generic cool cats, but we're in 2021. There are lots of cool cats. What's the problem?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think, OBM?
I've never played a Saints Row game, so like this.
Oh wow!
So this trailer, I it's one of those things. When it comes out, I'll see if there's anything to it that from an open world standpoint will make me want to jump in it. In general, I've had open world fatigue, so like whenever I just see open world games, unless they're talking about doing something like really interesting or new from a moment to moment gameplay standpoint, it's hard for me to get excited at this point. So yeah, I'm just taking a wait and see on it.
No, I hear you. And you're absolutely right. When Saints Row started, they were the Me Too of the genre.
Right.
They were the clone of GTA, right? GTA was tip of the spear. What kept them around, and there were a lot more. I actually think there was, oh my goodness, gangs of crime of New York and crimes of LA. There used to be a bunch of them on Xbox, OG Xbox and stuff like that. Some of them I thought were really good clones, but this one lasted because it seemed to really find its voice in the hysterically, ridiculously, beating people up with like sword dildos and things. It was just outlandish, and that kept it around. So I'm hoping they do something different here as well. I'm looking forward to seeing maybe they keep the same energy, but go on a different path. What do you think, SloMo? Have you played this? Does this interest you?
Not really. I'm more curious than interested. I've never been a Saints Row fan either. I have only when I really played with Saints Row 4, which is apparently like the one where things really, really went off the rails.
You played it when it was at a 12. You didn't play it when it was at a 7.
Yeah, and I was just like, I didn't get the hype for it. Like when they were coming out, like 1, 2, and 3 were coming out, I viewed it as, like you had mentioned, the GTA clone. And typically when I'm like, look, if I want to play GTA, I'm gonna play GTA. I'm not gonna play a clone of GTA. So I never even gave him a shot. So, but I like shout out to the homie, the Ash and Luca and other homies that I know that are big Saints Row fans, and I see this divide from the people between the ones who just like 1 and 2 and thought 3 and 4 were ridiculous or where it went off the rails, and those who actually enjoy 3 and 4. And it seems like no one's happy with this trailer. It seems like both camps are just like, I don't like it, and I'm just I'm at on my own trying to figure out why, and I can't get an answer on why they don't like it. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean,
I'll say
the trailer seems entertaining. Yeah.
I suspect those who like 3 and 4 like it because of the characters that they built up from 1 and 2. So 1 and 2, they had really distinctive characters that would get even more ridiculous as the franchise went on, and they stuck to those characters. So there are those who are like, oh, I want my guys back, doing the things that I remember.
Johnny Gat.
Yes, like Johnny Gat with his big old head. He has it's a bobblehead of himself on his own head, like just ridiculous, stuff like that. I liked 1 and 2 because 1 was too much of a Halo of a GTA clone, but 2 started finding its unique voice. It really did. It was a little different. it had a lot of interesting things to say, ridiculous, funny. It was really like a black comedy, if you will, like Saints Row 2. Saints Row 2 was a black comedy, so it seemed at the time, right? It was the black comedy to GTA's mainstream movie, So I really thought it was quite interesting,
Well,
but
here's a thought on why they probably didn't go with just bringing those characters back, because nostalgia is a hell of a drug, and there are people who would say, "Oh, I don't like the way you animated this guy. I saw him differently, and with a more modern take. Or I don't like the changes you made to these to my favorite characters from the series." And what it really does is limits the creativity of the developers that are now working on this franchise. Like it may be, it may even be the same studio, but the same people who were there back then may not be the people who are there now. And with that said, like you got brand new characters. Good. I mean, now you can kind of just spread your wings and write the stories you want to write and take it the direction you want to take it without having to have your creativity stomped all over because the accent for this character isn't quite accurate to how they're supposed to speak. Like, shut up. Well, make what I want to make.
Hey.
Good point.
Speaking of accents, I'm sorry, Christopher Judd, he didn't do that great on Black Panther, but that's neither here nor there. We're moving on.
Oh, that is true.
We're moving on. But while I got you here, SloMo, while we're winding down, I know you weren't here for most of it. Is there anything at Gamescom that caught your interest that we may have not missed? We may have not discussed. I know we went way deep on the Halo stuff. Anything you saw that you thought was interesting? I know there's a lot of media that I haven't even watched. I'm going to spend the weekend catching up on the 3-day stream of like IGN and the gameplay and all that stuff. What'd you see? Anything interesting?
It was a sea of meh. It was a lot of just stuff that either wasn't ready for E3 or wasn't quite good enough to get attention at E3. I think.
Okay.
There. You know what? No. Let me not say there was it Stray Blade?
Yes.
At the Xbox show, looked interesting.
We were talking about that a little bit ago. Yes.
That Doki W, is that how you say it?
Doki V?
Doki V? Okay,
Doki V, I think. And while you say that, I'll put that back on the screen.
I have no idea what that game is.
That's why it's going to be brilliant.
As I'm watching the trailer, by the way, it's made by Pearl Abyss, who's Black Desert Online. Pearl Abyss is actually a massive studio. They're like almost 1,000 developers. So they make Black Desert. They're making Crimson Desert that got delayed. It doesn't surprise me at all that the people were shocked at how this kind of game had the kind of visual fidelity that it had, but their engine is freaking amazing. If you've seen,
isn't this basically Black Desert Online? Like it's the same. It's the
same engine. It's likely the same engine. I haven't looked into it, but just like
they have this weird thing of it's like a picture, but then there are cartoons in the picture walking around. Like they're so good at that.
And I was just. Like I was looking at the trailer. I was thinking, "Oh, okay, is this kind of game?" And then I would see it would cut to something else, and I'm just like, "Oh no, it's not." Like right
I've heard
now,
people
I'm
describe it.
Like
I've heard some people describe this as like a Pokemon kind of game. I'm like, okay, I guess I can see that. But I don't really. I see that with the weird monsters, but that's not really the initial vibe. Right now. But still, it's so strange.
Right, but it's not really like I'm not a big Pokemon fan, so I'm probably
neither am I.
Really show my ignorance by saying this, but it's like
I say that show my age. I'm too old.
The humans are fighting the monsters, so isn't it usually with Pokemon that someone says Pterosaur rah, and then you throw it out, and then
Snorlax.
It says its name like 20 times, and then someone else goes Pikachu, and they throw Pikachu at it, and then they make them fight, like they make these two slaves fight like it's Django Unchained, right?
Yo, the slander right now, bro.
That's Pokemon. Wow. Did I lie?
Okay, so that will be the breakout for this week. You have two slaves fighting in Pokemon. Wow, bro, that is the best take I've heard all week.
You live in a bowl. The only time you come out,
and they let you out to fight.
They let you out
You're
to
ruining
fight
my kids'
brethren.
childhood right now.
They force you to fight your brethren until one of you can't fight ananymore.
Pika?
You get,
Oh my goodness!
you get involved past, whether you choose to or not. It's just like, wow. I mean, this is your
Oh
existence.
man. Okay.
And,
Yes.
and,
Yes.
and if you're cute, you get to be a pet. There you go.
SloMo, bro. Yo, that is a take.
SloMoBackSlap.
That is a take. That is. I can't even respond to that. Like, wow. Okay. Yo, Pokemon are slaves.
Thank you.
You heard here, slaves.
Oh man.
Equal rights for Pokemon. Okay. Well, we gonna wrap this up at this point. I think this is the time where we should just wind it down a little bit. We're about to wrap it up because, man, I don't think we can go any higher than that one there, my friend. So yes. So I appreciate everybody who joined us today, and you guys have been having such a great conversation. The Halo talk will continue as it always does, but I think we got to a good place with it. Long story short, if you're disappointed, we hear you, but you're gonna play it anyway. So just calm yourself. You'll be fine. You'll see. We'll see you online, day one.
I'll see you online. Exactly.
I'll see you online. And as everyone says, I better not see you. I check. I have receipts. I'm going to check your profile. Did you play? If you did, and you talk about delay the game, we're gonna come after you.
It just hit me that one of those characters pulled out like the Ghostbusters.
They did. Yes, they did.
Yeah, like don't cross the streams. Yeah, look.
Wow.
He crossed the streams. Yep.
I'm
interesting.
They literally.
We gotta watch this again.
I'm telling you. There was a panda with boxing gloves on. I'm just like, what is happening here?
All things included in slavery.
Dancing?
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Anteater dancing over in the background.
A pink anteater, popping and locking over in the corner. These are the highest
Doki V,
ever, man.
Yeah,
I think it's Doki V. So
day one bar, my friend. Day one bar.
So I will say
I might actually play that.
There you go. It is worth nothing else but for streaming. That's right. That's what I was going to say. Exactly. It's, if nothing else, but it'll be an interesting stream to watch people's impressions of it. So I will say.
I was going to say that's what happens when developer tools are available to people that spend all their money on drugs. So that's
hey, and it actually play some of this. Play a bit of Psychonauts. I think somebody was on some mescaline for a while, like when we were playing it, and it is like it is so good. PSA: if you have not played it, go play Psychonauts 2. As soon as I'm done here, that's what I'm going to go do.
Yep,
the game design of this game is so good.
And you can play it with your kids in the room. They can sit and have fun, and they love it too. Even though innuendos are dropping left and right, and they don't get it.
Yeah,
right.
It's very good. It's very good. But all right, let's wind down. OneBad Mutha, I appreciate you so much for joining us. This was so much fun. I know that we were going to have the barn burner episode with Everborn and all of his slander. We didn't really get that to its fullest effect, but still, you came to play, and we appreciate you for joining us. And thank you so much. Where can the people find you on the internet? What you got going on? Please promote. Like what? Do you have anything new coming up on Xbox Era? Please let us know what you got going on.
Yeah, so thanks again for having me. It was a good time talking, and SloMo, thanks for offering the slander through the chat. But yeah,
you're welcome, sir. You're welcome.
As always. By the way, SloMo always brings some facts. He always seems
to straight facts every time, 100%
on topics. I always pick up stuff from him that nobody else talks about. So that's key there. And I really enjoyed the chat with you guys. If you guys want to find me, I'm on Twitter at OneBadMutha at Mutha_1. Outside of that, I am a senior editor over Xbox Era. Also, come join our forums over there if you like to talk gaming. I mean, they're Xbox centric, but we do stay away from all the System Wars stuff because that stuff's so last generation. Yeah. By the way, that game, I did find the name of that game is Bushiden. That one.
Bushiden.
Okay.
Bushiden.
Yeah.
Okay. Put that on your radar, gentlemen.
Yeah, it looks like a cross between Strider and Shinobi from like those.
Ooh. Now you know what?
Okay.
This just hit me. I forgot that they did a trailer for this, but they didn't really show the game. Synced
Mhm.
Off Planet. I've covered it on my channel.
Oh yeah,
last year.
I saw that too. Yep.
They
Synced Off Planet.
did a kind of like a cinematic trailer for it, but it's very much a combination of The Division and World War Z. Where it's you get a lot of gadgets and like skills. It's third person perspective shooter, but it's got some World War Z in it, where you have these infected people who it takes place in the future, and all these people are getting like, it's popular in the future to get cosmetic surgery and get implants that have AI that kind of like help improve you. But then there was like a firmware error, and an update went bad and turned all these people into like these like basically killer like unfeeling zombies that can't be hurt, but they can be destroyed. And so like the rest of the world, the people who refuse to kind of get implants are the only people that are left alive. And it's like you're trying to get off planet because the planet is basically, it's just overrun with nothing but these turned humans. And the whole goal is like, it's like PvE VP, where you can play.
That's
with
what I was
teams,
going to ask you.
but you're
what
actually
is that?
fighting.
Is there a campaign to it, or is there a multiplayer focus? How is that? I didn't catch that part of it.
It's campaign focused. It's kind of like, if you ever played Scavengers, it's a game that's on PC where it's essentially you're like scavenging resources, and then you try to get to a spaceship or a shuttle to get off planet
while others are trying to get off of you.
Yes,
take it off of you. Okay.
Yeah, it has some elements of that too, but there is a story behind it with like an actual like fleshed out story that they're working on. It's pretty cool. I've been kind of following the developer for a little while now. They've been very, very transparent, even to the point of showing you what they're working on. And if a lot of us probably have seen this already, where you see like the polish that a game has when they show a trailer isn't what the build that they work on. The build that they work on looks really basic, and it doesn't have like the characters barely have any textures on them. They don't add all that extra stuff until they get into like, it's time to show the game or it's time to release the game. But they've showed us like their dev diaries have showed you the way the game looks like in its rawest sense, where they're actually moving certain things in the environment around. Let's build this out here. Let's put a forest over here. Let's do all this other stuff. Let's add another building here, a place for you to.
So they're really bringing people into the development process.
Yeah, and it's a very interesting game. I remember seeing the trailer.
I kind of should dive deeper into it. I did see people talking about it. There was just, as we've discussed, there's just so much coming at you that a lot was missed. That's definitely one that was missed. I need to double back on that one.
Yeah, I actually need to, because I completely forgot that I saw it, but maybe it was just all of the like the sea of meh that I was seeing that got completely like threw me off, because I remember
maybe this calls for a slow-mo
last night.
This possibly calls for a slow-mo in-depth video explaining what we should be expecting.
No, what they're supposed to be. The developers supposed to be showing the gameplay very soon. So I'll probably make a video after they do an update, because I already had a video for the initial trailer and initial gameplay that they showed from a year ago. So I'll definitely do a follow-up.
You'll send it up. You'll do an update. Cool. So if with that in mind, as we are winding down, where can folks find that video, and what else you got going on the internet this week, sir?
Oh yeah. You can find it on my channel, SloMoBackSlap. It's the same as the name that you see on the screen. I always do videos, although I haven't done too many lately, just with busyness and kind of changing up the format a little bit. But I've done a lot of videos already on games that are like indie or not as I think I would call them sleeper hits. Like I was doing videos on Genshin Impact before people even knew what that was. Just videos on Lost Soul Aside and games like that, like the smaller titles.
I call those hidden gems.
Yes,
things that people
absolutely.
wouldn't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Death's Door, stuff like that. I like to cover those kind of games that people end up looking at later on when they come out and go, wow, like this, where this one come from? And that's what I'm covering. I cover that. I get into, of course, we got DPS podcast with the homie Gaming Forte every Thursday night, even though it's half the time it's on his channel. But and then I same name on Twitch as well. I like to stream a lot and stream the games that I'm playing. I play a lot of different games, so you never know what you might see me playing if you come check out the stream. Yeah.
Very cool, sir. Thank you, and all y'all. I'm sure you do, but if you don't, please SloMoBackSlap. Follow him. I will put everyone who all our guests, all our surprise guests will be featured prominently in the show notes where you can find them. Their links to all of their social media, so you can check them out. And how about you, Mr. Pixelbit G? Thank you so much. Community member who's always in the chat, always got the words for us. We're like, hey, why not jump in? Just like OGTK Cole did on the reel last week, which we appreciated. Let's have a conversation with the community. Thank you so much for joining us. What you got going on, sir?
Thank you, man. I really appreciate you having me on for the show, man. I really had a good time. I don't have anything to promote, but I will be back on these Twitter streets.
Indeed.
You'll see me online. You'll see me here online. I'll be in the chat. So
that's great, man.
I really enjoy you guys' show. So
we'll definitely have you back because it's always good to talk to the community. We're just guys who love games, and if whether you're in the chat or you're on the screen, you're just like us. We're all here talking games, and if you ever want to jump in the chat from the chat into our invites as well, please, drop me a DM. Let me know you're interested. I have no issues putting you on. It's all good. So
I do want to say one
please,
thing.
Yes.
Pixelbit, if this is, I don't know how often you've been on, but you do sound pretty natural on the mic, man. So
yeah, there you go. You got the skills, man, for sure.
In a much younger day, I used to be an MC, but we'll just leave it at that.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, you have a great voice for radio. So yeah.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. My wife tries to get me to do this more often, but it's time
there you
consuming.
go.
I
This
respect what you guys do, but it's like I can't imagine the amount of time you guys are putting into these shows, man. I really do.
It's fun and it's time consuming, but from time to time, we the wives have conversations. We do our best. We do our best.
But thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Wonderful, wonderful. So thank you guys all for joining us. There were so many people in the chat. Can't point everybody out, but I think at some point Mr. Boomstick joined us. The Ashen Luca made her presence felt. Erodimus is here. We of course the aforementioned Everborn Saga, who can't speak so well, but his typing hands still continue the slander. It's all good. Thank you so much, Deepka and Beast Mode and all y'all that keep joining us in the chat and keep the conversation lively. Fun speculation. Thank you, good sir. We will be back next week. We continue to have these conversations. We continue to have fun online and keep the slander to a joyful level, right? We're not taking any of the stuff seriously because we're all here to play games and have fun. So until next week, have a good time gaming, and we'll see you then.
All right. Peace.